Good morning, Tempo Freaks and Raptor Freaks. Lexi out here is Friday, and we've got like triple duty today. I'm going to do 2 reactions to games yesterday and a preview for today for the Toronto Tempo versus the Atlanta Dream tonight at Coca-Cola Coliseum. So I'll start with the preview, and then we'll review CBL action last night along with the Raptors Summer League victory over the Miami Heat. Yeah, so lots to get to today. So I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get right into it and let's go look at the latest lineup news for the Toronto Tempo against the Dream tonight. All right, let's go look. Now, Brittany Sykes is still out. They pushed the date back. The last time I looked at it, it looked like maybe she could be back, for the game against the Aces next week. But now her return date is actually after the All-Star break for the WNBA. So she's not going to be available for tonight for sure. So no Brittany Sykes, even though she has been practicing with the team to a degree. Kiki Rice, similar thing. They're saying she's out till July the 28th. Then that's the latest she could be back. So it's still gonna be like 2 weeks. Temi though is questionable. She's probable actually. She's probable. The concussion protocol has been cleared up, and I think that Temi Fagbenle is returning to the team tonight to play for them. So Temi should be back. Now we do have a new person on the injury list today, and that is Tiani Key. Tiani Key is sick, and she is questionable for the game tonight. So it's quite likely our rookie from Kentucky will not be out on the court today. So Tiani is questionable. Kiki Rice and Brittany Sykes are out, and Temi Fagbenle is probable. So there's your injury news for the Tempo. Let's go look at the Dream. The Dream have one name that's kind of on the list, but they could be playing today. They're questionable for today. It's a leg injury, and that's Tahina Pau. It looks like this injury was just in the last week, she's day to day, but she's questionable for today due to a leg injury. That's Tahina Pau, the backup guard for the Dream. Also, Brianna Jones is getting closer to returning to the court. She's been out this whole season with a knee injury, and there's a possibility that she could be making her season debut tonight against us at Coca-Cola. She's questionable officially, so we'll just have to see if Brianna Jones is back as of tonight. So that's really kind of the injuries for the Dream. The Dream, of course, are led by all-stars and Ryan Howard, Angel Reese. They also have Jordan Canada, Alicia Gray, Naz Hillman, Medina Okot, Isabel Borlaise, Sika Kone, India Navar, Leonai, formerly of the Tempo. And that's pretty much their team at this point. So yeah, tonight is going to be a tough game for the Tempo to play against. The Dream are a very strong rebounding team, and our Achilles heel has been rebounding. So in some ways, we really got to be good at gang rebounding, team rebounding, and boxing out and making sure that we're not giving the Atlanta team extra shots because they're getting on the boards and putting stuff back instead of us grabbing it and only letting them have one chance. So yeah, this is very, very, very important. Very important. Let me just see what the ESPN matchup predictor is saying for our game tonight. What the percentage for the Tempo to win is. Hang on. The internet is being really slow right this second. Maybe I'll do the refs first, and then I'll come back to that. Hang on. I got it finally. They're saying that we are 35% chance to win, 65% chance for Atlanta. So, yeah, that's it. 7:30 tip-off, Coca-Cola Coliseum. So be ready for that. The refs for today's game, Tiara Cruz, number 5, is the crew chief. We are 1-2 with Tiara Cruz so far this season in the inaugural year of Toronto Tempo. The referee will be number 76, Tony Patillo. Tony Patillo is also 1-2 with the Toronto Tempo this year so far. And the third ref, the umpire, will be Sarah Williams, number 44. And we are 1-0 with Sarah Williams. So cumulative record overall 3-4 with the referees today, the three refs. Tiara Cruz, Tony Patillo, and Sarah Williams is our WNBA ref crew for tonight's tempo game. There you go. There you go. So there's a little setup for you. It looks like Tiani is sick, and possible dream center may be coming back today to play against us in Jones. Yeah, we'll do more keys to victory and strategy talk for the tempo dream game later in the show. Now, let's switch gears a little bit. And real quick, before I move on, I want to do the tempo Redditor of the day because this is what happened yesterday. Nearby obligation, 355. Just after I signed off on the show yesterday, Kayla Alexander was signed to a second 7-day hardship contract. So this is fantastic. So yeah, I was hoping they'd hold on to her longer. 7 days is really fast in a sports league. You can go through 7 days of competition really quick with travel and games and everything. So they've signed her to a second hardship contract. So it's another 7 days. So 2 weeks of Kayla Alexander at least. That's fantastic, especially with the size that we're matching up against in some of these games in these 2 weeks. So yeah, having Kayla available for tonight against the Dream is fantastic. And I'm always for Canadian content on my Canadian basketball teams. So yeah, Kayla Alexander, thank you for being on the tempo, even though, some people are dissing, saying, oh, she shouldn't be on the team and all this kind of stuff. No, we need her size. We need her height. We need her ability, her experience, and her stuff that she can do in the paint. It may not be offensive. It may be more rebounding and shot blocking and defense. But yeah, that's our Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day. Nearby obligation 355, who reported on Reddit that Kayla Alexander has signed the second 7-day hardship contract. Yeah, that's good stuff. It's good. We need that. We need that. All right, let me check in the chat and see who's here so far. Good morning, Mr. Greg. Thank you for being here this morning. And also good morning to Banana Bread Tan. Good to see you this morning. Hope you're doing very well. Naco the Nachos saying there's something goofy and crafty about Graves' play style that I really like. We had an interesting announce crew last night for the Vegas Summer League game for the Raptors and the Heat. The announcer guy is actually one of the Heat announcers, the guy that was with Jeremy Lin. But NBA Raptors champion Jeremy Lin was one of the broadcasters. And he was very interesting how he's breaking down Alan Graves and talking about him. Alan Graves is not the fastest guy, but he's really smart. And he's really good at being at the right place at the right time and knowing the right action. He has really good instincts. He has really good hand speed. He has really good telegraphing. There's a lot that he's doing out there. And man, he was really on fire with all that yesterday as far as reading the floor, reading his opponents, reading his teammates, and reading the situations, because that's his strength. That's his strength. And Jeremy Lin was funny. At some point, he said, I feel like Alan Graves is going to be this year's Con Knipple. He's going to be a huge impact player on his team, and nobody will have predicted it because they didn't see it coming. And, well, I could see what he's saying. It's weird in that broadcast, the ESPN people that were covering it did not like saying the words Toronto Raptors, their team, the team. Every once in a while, Jeremy would throw it in there. He didn't have any problem with it, seeing as he's got a ring with this team. But, yeah, it's so crazy. They do the sideline interview with Alan Graves, and the sideline reporter will not say the words Toronto Raptors and admit that this guy is on our team. In fact, they made really weird wording saying that this guy is into the system in the NBA and into the league. But they won't ever tout and say, oh, this is a great pick by the Raptors and Bobby Webster. They can't say any of that kind of stuff. Why don't y'all say stuff like that? Your bias is showing. And, man, you guys are such homers for the American team against the Toronto team in every call you do. And that dude was totally like that. He was so heartbroken that the Miami Heat couldn't come back and beat us. And he gloated at the end of the game when the Raptors had won, but they were eliminated from the championship quarterfinals or championship 4 for summer league. Yeah, there was a fail in this Raptors game last night. There was a fail. It was a fail by Coach Simovic and a fail by the players because they didn't understand what they needed to do to take care of business to get to the championship bracket, and they failed. They didn't make it. They were only 5 points short. They should have kicked it in a hyper gear in the last 6 minutes of the game and made that margin 15-point lead. If they had done that, they would have knocked the Golden State Warriors out of the championship 4, and we'd be sitting in it instead. But they weren't aware of this, apparently. Whether it was the players in the court that weren't aware, or Evo wasn't kicking their butt and telling them on the court well enough either. So a big failure, really, in some ways. Even though we won and we're 3-1 at the Summer League, we've once again just failed to meet the point differential to get to the Final Four to play this weekend for the Summer League championship. That's annoying. It's really annoying, especially because it was very doable and the players were very lackadaisical at the end of the game, specifically Jaden Bradley and the way he was carrying himself. He thought he was just going to run the clock. You dumbass. Were you not aware of the rules and how Summer League works? You dumbass, Jaden Bradley. In fact, I'm so kind of like, why is this guy on our team? This guy's a waste of time. We don't need this dude. This dude is not in a position we need. This dude is not a valuable player from what I can see. He's been garbage. His 4 preseason game or 4 Summer League games have not impressed me. He had 1 game that was semi-good out of 4 games, and the other 3 games were trash. Yeah, and man, what the hell were y'all thinking? Evo's yelling at y'all at the end, but maybe too little, too late, Coach Evo. Yelling at them that late in the game. And yeah, credit to Miami for being dogged and keeping up with us and keeping the game close. But you guys should have understood the assignment and you should have executed it because honestly, it was right there for y'all. So I want to say this. I know that they're going to have one more Summer League game this weekend. It's probably going to be on Saturday or Sunday. I'm not impressed with Coach Evo. I think Coach Evo has done a bad job being a head coach, specifically partly because of last night and the end of what happened there. And I'm not impressed with our second round pick. I think that he's dead end. He's a waste of time. He's another Malachi wearing another Malachi number. It's just bad. It's just bad. I wish they were aware of this. The competitor in me, I got super fan Monique Lawrence texting me during the game saying they're not going to make it. What are they doing? They need to play harder to get there. She knew. She's at home. She's at home in Toronto at Jane and Finch. And she could see it on her TV that the Raptors needed to get it going and score more to catch up, to get a bigger margin. I mean, the Grizzlies went crazy. The Grizzlies knew they needed to do what they needed to do in their game earlier in the day. I mean, heck, the Atlanta Hawks scored only 2 points in the first quarter or something like that. It's crazy. So it's like, why were we not well informed enough to understand all the different scenarios before going into this game? This smacks of this thing that happened a couple years ago when we had the in-season tournament and the guys didn't even know they were playing in in-season tournament games. Like, who's informing the team of the stakes? Who's informing the team of this is what this means and this and this? I worry about this because in the past I knew Kyle Lowry would take care of this stuff. Everything that was important to know about the game and why we need to beat them. Oh, he would know all the records. He'd know how many times this team had beat us and how many times we beat them. And he'd go over it with everybody. But it seems like there's nobody on this team looking at the big picture and talking about the big stuff, like season series. And this is what you need to do to score this many points to get to the championship finals of the Summer League. Because nobody was informed and nobody knew exactly what was needed. And nobody tried to go get it. Really, really pathetic. And honestly, the frustration of the announcer who doesn't even like the Raptors getting mad because we weren't going for it was my frustration also. Yeah, it's stupid, man. Like, Coach Evo, you failed. You failed because you didn't inform your team well enough. Maybe the support staff didn't do it. The assistant coaches. Where's Coach Darko? Darko, are you not paying attention that you can tell them what's going on? Hey, guys, come on now. Today, we need to win by 15 points at least. I mean, it's changing and shifting because other games are going on. But you can't tell me that the Raptors went all out to try and score the biggest margin of victory over the Miami Heat last night to ensure that they would get to the championship four. No, they didn't have that energy, and they didn't show that urgency, and they did not do it. And they were just 5 points short. Would you have that different, Jaden Bradley, if you knew just how fucking close you were to being one of the final four teams at Summer League? Would you take that back and come out there a little bit crazier and try a little harder? I mean, seriously, what the fuck happened there? Seriously, somebody need to inform them. Somebody need to inform them. So it's really, really kind of annoying. It's really, really kind of annoying. Yeah, let's see. Mr. Greg saying another 7 days and another $15,000 in Kayla's pocket. Hey, that's not bad. That's not a bad payday for that period of time. You know, I know that money's different between the NBA and the WNBA, but still, you know, do you know that that's the exact number? Seriously, Mr. Greg? I didn't know that that would be the money for a 7-day hardship contract to play for the Toronto Tempo. $15,000. So she made $30,000 in the last 2 weeks. 30K in the last 2 weeks. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, let's see. Banana Bread Tan saying this, but that's mostly his dribbling. I think it takes great angles. I think he takes great angles, great hand-eye coordination, great shooting, great passing. It doesn't seem right that we've hit on Scotty, Colin, Walter, and Graves, but I think we did. Well, of course it's right. Because seriously, we're not shooting a miss like OG, happy birthday. No, that's the philosophy of our front office. I mean, Banana Bread 10, we have to be this way because we're the Canadian team. And we have a lot of different things that are against us. So the things that we can control, we have to get exactly right. Think about the A+ student that has parents that are on their ass. And that if you don't get an A+, it's a disappointment. Oh, you've got an A? You've got an A? No, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. No, you're still grounded. You need an A+, 100%. No, we ain't fucking around. We have to be that kid as an NBA team. And we can't miss on draft picks. That's why I'm so critical of Jaden Bradley, because I don't think he is a hit. You named all the hits right there, but we missed on our second round pick this year, I think. Maybe I'll be wrong, proven over time, but that's the thing. We can't afford to miss on picks. And that's why in some ways I don't value picks, because we're so good at hitting on picks. Teams like Oklahoma City Thunder and other teams have to stockpile picks and go in a barrage of shots and just hope some of these take off and do our right picks. No, we get it right each pick. And that's just the way we've been. We've been like this pretty much the whole time, 2013 till now. It's just that, you know, people don't give us enough credit or pay enough attention to it like I do. Fans are more likely to point to the one or two few mistakes that Masai and Bobby have made than actually look over the whole body of work and say, wow, their percentage of hitting on picks is amazing. You know, so no, we can't, you know, this is not, you shouldn't say it doesn't seem right. No, we have to do this, bro. We have to do it this way to stay competitive in this league and to make up for some of the other things that we have to deal with. So no, we can't mess up picks. No. Are we a free agent destination? A little bit more now, but we weren't before. And that's why Masai understood this when he first came to Toronto, is we've got to do most of our good talent building through the draft, through what we organically get through the draft, because we're not getting big name free agents. We're not involved in big trade talks. We get our guys from the draft. And that's why we've always been a very good drafting team. We always have been, honestly. If you really look at the period of time from 2010, even with some Colangelo, all the way up until now, 15 years, the Raptors have hit on most of their draft picks. Most of them. There's probably a handful, maybe less than 10 that were kind of ass. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, let's see. Mr. Greg saying this. Typical. Ramona Shelburne was interviewed a few years ago by Tim McAuliffe, and she said 2019 was a down year for the NBA, and Tim reminded her she was on Canadian television. You know, that's such a weird statement. In some ways, that's American bias and bullshit. You know, I think that the views for the finals with the Raptors were worldwide were up, and they're lying about that. They may be saying from a very American-centric point of view that the views were down in the United States, but they may find, first of all, they were way up in Canada, obviously. And then they may, if they really are honest and truthful, because they don't want to promote this and say, because in some ways there's a lot of shade towards the Raptors about how powerful they are. They don't want to say how powerful they are. They don't want to say how popular and how much of a worldwide brand they are. We are a bigger brand around the world than most of the NBA teams. Maybe not the Lakers, maybe not the Celtics, but we're bigger than pretty much most of the other ones. Like the Knicks are not loved around the world. I'm sorry. They're not. The Raptors are. And I would bet you, and the NBA people like Ramona, but probably not admit this, that the worldwide audience for the finals that year was actually higher than normal because of the Toronto Raptors. So, but everything down there is so American centric and bullshit. It's so dumb. It's like to the point where you looked in the arena last night and they have an obscenely huge US flag next to a tiny little Canadian flag. That just screams of big truck, small D energy. Like I'm compensating for something because I know that our leader is a fucking pedophile who's destroying our country from within. So we're going to be all braggadocio and we're going to just we won't have even size flags anymore. It just shows the insecurity of the fucking United States right now. And little things like that, like if you noticed at the arena, see, I notice everything. I'm autistic. You noticed in the game last night in Vegas, there's this giant US flag and then this teeny tiny Canadian flag next to it. That's not normal for arenas with flags. They're usually the same size. And well, it just screams the insecurity of the United States right now. And it's by their leader. Their leader sets the tone. He spends a whole speech last night trying to discredit the very fair 2020 election that I voted in and voted for Joe Biden. And many, many people did. And you did lose, Donald Trump, you dumbass. You can't rewrite history. You're going to try and do that, but you're going to fall flat on your face. But yeah, a lot of insecurity with the states. And that's part of the reason why they lie about this, Mr. Greg. It's part of why. In some ways, they don't want to build up our brand. Our Raptors brand is valued very high and is very valuable around the world. But in some ways, it's no help to the NBA. It's no help from the NBA. No, it's all done on our own. And the way we've done things up here. And the way we've done that. Yeah. Medved Ted is here. Yeah. He's giving a thumbs up to Graves, Lundy, Biddle, and Sharp. All right. Let's go ahead and look at the stars of the game for our Summer League game last night against the Heat. It was a fantastic win. Unfortunately, the margin wasn't higher. They needed to get 105 points, but they got 99. 99-90 was the final score. My number one star of the game is Allen Graves, the number one pick, first round pick for the Raptors at 19 this year. Was fantastic once again. In fact, the 4 games they played, this has been bookended. The first game was fantastic, 22 points for him. This one, 23 points for him in 27 minutes, 8 of 16, 50% from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. And those threes, do you guys have confidence in Allen Graves and his 3-point shot? His feet are set and he's got enough room. He's making it. In some ways, it's crazy that right now I have more faith and think that Allen Graves is a better 3-point shooter than Grady Dick, because Grady Dick was supposed to be, that's his thing. Now think about that. Grady Dick, mostly you need to be a good 3-point shooter because the rest of your game is not exactly all that. Allen Graves has a whole fleshed out, a complete game other than his 3-point shot, and he still shoots threes better than you. Really? Seriously? His confidence. He steps in the shot. He's done things fundamentally right in his training. And I trust Allen to take that open 3 and make it. And we've seen in this summer league that he makes them when the game is close and when the game is a little bit kind of pressurized. It's not just easy threes when there's the beginning of the game or the game is out of hand late. No, he's making threes, tough threes in the middle of very competitive stretches of the game that are helpful to the Raptors to take the lead or grow the lead, So that's a good sign right there. He was 2 of 2 at the free throw line. In fact, he has not missed a free throw at Summer League this year. He did not miss a single free throw in all 4 games. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, 1 steal, and 2 blocks, a plus 13. That's like a perfect game. That's a perfect game. He didn't miss a free throw. He didn't have a turnover. He shot 50%. 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, along with a steal and 2 blocks. That's a badass right there. And you can see how he operates. In some ways, you could just watch the Summer League games that we just had Go back and watch them and just watch Alan Graves when he's on the court and just watch him. Don't watch anybody else on the court. Just watch how he's moving around, how he's looking, how he's perceiving, how he's reacting, and how he's going to the next spot and the next action, and he's doing the right thing. At one point, Jeremy Lin was talking about how he loved how he picks up people halfway down the court on defense. That's right. This is a 6'9" guy who plays forward, but he is playing full court press on people and hounded them. And honestly, he gets deflections and causes turnovers halfway across the court because he is coming up on those people and doing that. And you know what? The one thing I love is that he's such a hustler and such a hard worker. Unlike our Raptors a couple of years ago, when they would do over coverage and pressing, when they get burned and they get the ball, guys go around them and they kind of beat them. He doesn't give up on the play and just stand there. He runs with them, down with them to continue to try and stop them and maybe even block their shot, even though they got by him when he was full court pressing. That's a huge skill, is just hustle, just getting after it. We saw at one point Alan Graves get nailed in the face on a drive to the basket. This is not regular season. This is not the playoffs. And there's no review, even though there was a strike to the head, and they probably should have stopped the game, Julian McFadden. Y'all should have probably stopped the game and gone and reviewed that for a flagrant foul to the face, because Alan Graves got hit right in the face, and his neck was snapped back too. But did he whine or cry? No. He got up off the floor, he took the free throws, and he kept playing. So, man, there's everything to like about this kid. In some ways, it's like he took those lumps in the middle of the game. He started strong in the game. He took the lumps in the middle of the game, a little bit of extracurricular physicality that wasn't totally nice, and he kept playing through it. And he had the same consistency all the way through the whole entire game. And he was big at the end of the game, too. Some guys would get hit in the face like that, and they would be kind of out of the game for the rest of the day. So he showed some real toughness in that moment to me. Definitely my number one star of the game. Definitely my most consistent star of the 2026 Summer League for the Toronto Raptors. Yeah, he's good, and Bobby is good too. That's what y'all need to say, Raptors freaks. That's right. Seth Lundy is my second star of the game. Seth has strung together 3 very strong games, and I honestly do want him in training camp. I do think that he will push people in training camp. I feel like he's done enough, and some of it is not just his offensive scoring and shooting. He's been very good, active on rebounds and defense and trying to get deflections and steals. So I like Seth Lundy in general. He's been consistent enough over these 4 games. Maybe the first game he wasn't totally there yet, but the last 3 games, he has been huge. He was the star of the game for 2 of those games, and now he's the second star for this game. Yeah, Lundy, 27 minutes, 19 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 of 3 at the free throw line. I love the perfect free throw shooting. This shows a lot. 3 rebounds, 6 assists with 0 turnovers, and 3 steals too. Yeah, these 2 guys, no turnovers between Lundy and Graves. 10 assists, 0 turnovers. In fact, the Raptors were doing a really good job avoiding turnovers for a long time in the game. They didn't get their first turnover until Namari Burnett had a weak-ass pass at the backcourt, and they picked it off and ran it back. And that was sometime near the second half of the second quarter. Yeah, which is really impressive. Honestly, the Raptors, and we'll get to the team stats, they had a really good assist-to-turnover ratio as a team yesterday. Really taking care of the ball really well. Plus 19 for Seth. He was the highest plus-minus on the court. And that two-man punch of Graves and Lundy, along with a couple of the other guys getting hot from 3, was a big, huge difference for them against the Heat. The Heat didn't have enough firepower. They had like 2 guys doing stuff, Young and some other dude. But otherwise, they didn't have a team effort like we did. And as Jeremy Lin was enjoying, the Raptors were playing a very team offense, passing, movement, the Darko system. And that's a totally different thing than what the Heat were doing. The Heat were just out there messing around. They didn't have any organization to it. They were kind of like, let's just rely on this very skilled, talented player, Jameer Young. And otherwise, we were playing a team concept. And that really helped us to balloon a lead and beat their ass. Like, we were really beating their ass at one point by 17. It's too bad we couldn't held that lead to the end because we'd probably be playing in the Final Four of the Summer League Championship. Yeah, it is what it is. Either way, Seth Lundy, you did it. I put the test to you last weekend. I said, Seth Lundy, can you be consistent for these games and show the same kind of stuff every game? Well, you did it. And in some ways, I say, Bobby, exhibit 10 this guy and get him in training camp. And let's see what he can do. If not anything, let's try and get him on 905, if not on the Raptors, possibly. Because we have 3 roster spots. And I don't mind if Bobby Webster fills all 3 roster spots from the Summer League team. And I would say Nate Biddle, Jamarian Sharp, and Seth Lundy to the Raptors for this year. And one of them will be on a 2-way playing for both the 905 and the Raptors. And that probably would be Sharp. That probably would be Sharp because he probably needs the most time down there. But maybe Seth Lundy is in that spot AJ Lawson was in. But if AJ Lawson comes back to training camp too, then, well, we have a training camp battle, very reminiscent of Lawson versus Roden last year. Just say that Seth Lundy is Jared Roden this year. Just think about it that way. The third star of the game for me is Nate Biddle. Nate Biddle started extremely strong. In fact, he had like most of our points at the beginning of the game, and they were wowing about it. See, did you see what I was talking about? With the 3-point shot is money. You can see how he's rebounding. You can see how he's getting after it. You can see him having really nice pinpoint passes. Like that pass to Allen when he rolled to the basket that he thread the needle on. That was really high level. And in some ways, that's something we need from a center on our team. I would even argue to Raptors fans that a passing center that can make that pass is more important than a center making threes. That I think that a lot of people have missed the mark on what matters, and that's Marc Gasol, and the ability to pass from the high post down low. And that's why Jakob is so valuable to this team. That's why Olynyk was valuable to this team before. And that's why Biddle can be valuable to this team also. Biddle's got a multifaceted game. He can rebound. He can block shots. He can hit threes. He can bang down low to protect the paint, and he gets after it and is a hard worker. In fact, Alan Graves, the way he works, rubs off on Biddle, and Biddle starts running around like Graves does, and that's good. That is good. Yeah, Biddle is interesting. He had the interview at the beginning of the game, and you know what? I want to see this kid on the Raptors, Bobby, because I'm going to say this right now. The way he played in this preseason, in the Summer League, he's valuable, and somebody else is going to come get him. And I don't want to see this happen. We need a center. We've got a good center in our house right now. Don't let him walk out the door down the street and let anybody pick him up in a car. Seriously, you already have him in the house here in the Raptors house. Do we want to see him walk out the door, walk to the street, and just wave down the next car and jump in the next franchise? No, we don't. So lock this man down. I know he's on an Exhibit 10 already, and he is coming to training camp. But, man, I've seen enough. You need to freaking do this because I don't want to see any kind of way that we lose Nate Biddle and he's in another uniform this year. He needs to be in a Raptors uniform, whether that's part-time as a 905 and a Raptor or just a straight-up Raptor. Nate Biddle needs to be on our team. Yeah, 18 minutes for Nate. He didn't play a whole super amount. 13 points, 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 steal, and 3 blocks, a +8. Yeah, just a very good player. And like he looks older than he is. He's only like 22 years old, guys. He's not an old dude. He's very young, actually. And he has a lot of promise. And I just like his attitude. And I feel like he's got a potential because he's got a big frame, but he doesn't really have muscle yet, if you think about it. If you look at him, he's got a big frame and he's got some weight to him already, but he's not muscular. So there's a whole kind of dimension of him that could be progressed physically by getting him weight training. And we know the Raptors have done this very well in the last couple of years with all their players. Doesn't matter who you are. You're on the Raptors, you're going to get swole. You're going to get swole like Swalter. Yeah, you go look at Shed's arms. You go look at Jamison Battle. You go look at Grady Dick before and after, before coming to the Raptors, after leaving the Raptors. Yeah, look at the before and after of Grady Dick in his arms. So we got to do this for Biddle too. and he'll be much stronger and even better. That's funny. I seen an interview with Colin Murray-Boyles at Summer League. He's talking about one of the main things that he does that's important to him is being strong. Like that's his bread and butter. That's something that he really wants to be. So the focus of his training is really centered around being as strong as he can. And that's why we see what he does on the court, especially in the playoffs this year. So, it's an interesting thing. We want more strength on our team, and Nate Biddle could pick up that weight. He could be stronger. So there's a growth possibility for Biddle. There's a growth possibility. I saw somebody the other day saying they want to see a Biddle battle lineup, and I thought, I was like, that's hilarious. Yeah, I'd love to see a Biddle battle lineup. Whoever said that, you were hilarious. Whoever said that, that was funny. All right, let's see. Fourth star is the other center, Sharp. Sharp was really good too, once again. And he's really active and trying hard. Sometimes these guys, they're so tall, are lazy as F. They just come in and they're like, yeah, well, I'm tall. I'm the tall guy. But this guy is really working hard and he's really trying. And it's so true. You can't teach 7'5", and there's so many inherent gifts and pluses to being 7'5" in basketball. I mean, you could see it in the game yesterday. How easy was it for him to recalibrate if somebody's making a first attack and they don't get up there, and then they're coming to a second attack? He can actually recalibrate and block the shot easy and keep doing it. I mean, there's clips of him from G League last year with his defensive player of the year for G League, where he blocked like people 3 or 4 attempts coming at him, where he just kept blocking them. You come in, I block that. All right, you got the ball back. You're coming again. I'll block it again. Coming a third time, blocked it again. Fourth time, all right, let's do this. 4 blocks on one possession. They shortchanged him some blocks last night, and Jeremy Lin called it out in the game. He said, "There's no way this guy has only 1 block right now." But they do this. The NBA is shady as fuck with stats, and especially with blocks. Blocks is such a stat that there's so few, right? Like back in the day, Olajuwon would lead the league in like 2.5 blocks a game. So it's like every single time you block, you can really increase your average. They did this to Koloko his rookie year on the Raptors. They counted half his blocks as fouls to try and stop him from being one of the league leaders in blocks. They didn't like the idea of a Raptor being in the league leaders of blocks, right? So they limited how many they'd actually count for him. So like every other block he did was counted as a foul and called as a whistle, even though it was a clean block. They did that to him consistently in his rookie year. And then they'll do the shady shit like where something is actually a block, but they'll call it and count it as a steal. Fred VanVleet goes into this phenomena deeply from the reverse on his Unguarded podcast, the time when he had a balance of steals and block shots, because they were trying to cut his steals from him to not let him be a league leader in steals. So they start counting a bunch of steals as blocks. Yeah, it's a weird thing and a shady thing that NBA statisticians do to try and manipulate the leaderboards of who's at the top for blocks and steals, whether it's giving fouls every other block or start counting blocks as steals or vice versa, steals as blocks. But yeah, either way, they don't want Jamarian Sharp to have all those blocks because he probably had about 5 or 6 yesterday. But on here, it only says he has 2, which is absolute horse crap. We all know he didn't have just 2 blocks last night. He had way more than that. 17 minutes, 8 points on 4 or 5 shooting. Yeah, I like the lobs. Like he has a natural chemistry with AJ Hogarth. AJ Hogarth was lofting the ball up for him, and he'd go get it and throw it down. And that's nice. Like that's something that Jamarian needs. Is he needs a solid point guard like a Julie Alamon, like a point guard that is going to set it up for him to make it so easy for him he can't fuck it up. And that is what he needs. He needs point guards that are excellent lob throwers and people that will get him the highest percentage of not screwing it up. And well, Hogarth and him had a natural chemistry this whole summer league, and it was really nice. But yeah, 4 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 turnovers, 2 blocks. Yeah, right. 2 blocks, minus 12 for Jamarian Sharp. Yeah, I feel like he's a specialty player. I feel like he's the kind of player the Raptors should have on their team, but we use him when we have a big lead in the fourth quarter and we want to just shut the other team down from scoring or doing anything. I feel like he could be useful that way. That it's like, all right, say we're in the fourth quarter, we're playing the Knicks, and we got like a 15-point lead, which I want to see this year, seriously. And we put Jamarian Sharp in just to shut it down. We say, yeah, we're putting the 7'5" guy in now, and everything you want to do down inside is done. You're not coming in no more. Now we're pulling the gate down. The mall store is closed. Not coming in no more. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to see his role this year. And I do see value in having both those centers on the Raptors, or at least one of them on a two-way going between both. You don't have a lot of money, Bobby. You got to fill these last couple spots. So I would say, by the end of training camp and the preseason, I'm hoping Biddle, Sharp, and possibly Lundy will be on this team. Possibly. We'll have to see. My fifth star and final star for the game last night is Namari Burnett. Namari has had solid stuff. He's been a part of the solid 3-point shooting too. He had a couple of threes that were very opportune at times. And he's also shown an aggressiveness. There was a couple of casual things like that first turnover that he caused that, we didn't need to get a turnover. But there's also a lot of good aggressive stuff like crashing the boards, being unafraid of driving to the basket with the ball and trying to slam it on people. There's a lot of cool stuff that Burnett does. And as I said, the comparison that I have for him is Powell, Norman. And he just has a lot of the same offensive bag as Norm Powell. But it's cool to see his teammate, Yaxel Lindeborg, sitting at sidelines of the game last night, watching his teammate Namari there. The announcers just weren't clued in. That's the whole reason why he's there. Yaxel is there because of his Michigan teammate Namari. And you couldn't figure that out? Well, in some ways, those announcers, Jeremy Lin was okay. I like the inside stuff, talking about the plays and things like that. Like he's talking about the Nash dribble and, the plays and talking about DeAndre Jordan and stuff. But also at the same time, his delivery is not very good. And he's kind of like spacey. But his technical aspects and his knowledge are really good. But other than that, like he's not very a polished announcer. And the other guy was such a homer and such a weirdo. I don't know. I've never liked the ESPN Summer League announcers they give us. They're usually jerks like George Sedano or that dude last night. They usually are. Namari, 22 minutes, 10 points on 4 of 9 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, that one, and 2 steals and a block with plus 15. So solid stuff. A good solid starter in Summer League for us. I don't know, he's got an Exhibit 10 also. So he's already in training camp also. So he's one of the 21 that will be in training camp. So if you figure it out, we got the 15, you add Biddle, you add Namari Burnett, probably Seth Lundy, and then, hopefully Jamarian Sharp, maybe AJ Lawson. And then you got one more spot for training camp, and that's it. Because you got the 15 regulars that are already under contract, and then you get 6 more spots. It's a 21 spot training camp roster. And then you have to cut 3, if not 4, for the season. They cut 4 last year, and they only had 17 players instead of 18. All right, I'll go over the rest of them. Man, Jaden Bradley, what are you doing with your life? Seriously. Late in the game, I honestly could blame you for the reason why we're not in the Final Four championship round of the Summer League, because your lackadaisicalness, your turnovers, your poor shot selection, your just bad decisions. And it's amazing how many times in the last couple games that Coach Evo has taken you out in the favor of AJ Hoggard. That, in some ways, if you were playing much better overall, you probably would have gotten even more minutes, but you weren't playing that well. And in some ways, the look was better out there with Hoggard. Before it was Hepburn. Hepburn was outplaying you in the first 2 games and playing way more minutes than you. And now it's like the backup point guard for the 905 last year was a way better point guard and way more productive than you were in these last 2 games when Hepburn sat out. That sucks, man. And AJ Hoggard, he's making mistakes out there too. But man, I'm like, Jaden Bradley, why? Somebody on Reddit was joking. I'm just kidding myself and pretending that the 50th pick was Nate Biddle and not Jaden Bradley. I mean, I get that, and I feel you on that. Seriously. Yeah, Jaden, 27 minutes, 4 points on 1 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 from free throw, 4 rebounds, 6 assists with 4 turnovers, 1 steal, and 1 block on -4. Yeah, he had the brunt. He had half of our turnovers yesterday, 4 of our 8, and 6-4 turnover ratio. I'm sorry. I'm just not impressed with this dude. I don't give a shit if he is the Western Conference Player of the Year with Arizona or whatever. I don't care. Like I said, none of this shit transfers or matters. And oh man, everything may be a little too late, too little, too late with Jaden Bradley. He showed up like he was too hot for school, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm not smiling. I'm really cool, playing it cool." I'm like, "Bro, act like you want to be here, seriously," because it didn't seem like it at first. And now he's showing up late to realizing certain things. You got to get this figured out faster and understand this is not Arizona, and you are not big man on campus anymore. This is the NBA, and you're in summer league. And honestly, you didn't look good in summer league. You didn't look good in summer league. You got undrafted guys out playing you. Yeah. Yeah, that's no good, bro. That's no good, man. Off the bench, we saw another appearance of Aziz Bandagago. Now, the man from Senegal, he only played 2 minutes. He got an assist. That's it. He's going to be on 905 this year. He's for sure on 905 because we drafted him. So expect to see him playing for Coach Noah in 905 this season. He's not going to be on the Raptors, though. But he'll be good on 905. It'll be nice to have a true 7-foot backup center on the 905. In some ways, he's going to be kind of in the position that Jaden Bediako was in last year, but I'll bet he'll probably play more. He'll probably be a true like backup guard. All right, we're going to get a call today. All right, let's see. All right, let's see here. All right, we haven't had a call in a bit. Let me see if I can get the phone working. All right, hang on. All right, you're on the air, Infamous.
Hello, Lex.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm so happy to hear from you, man. I've been busy with family and a whole bunch of stuff going on, but I haven't been able to tune. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to tune into the channel for a quick minute.
Oh,
but I'm so happy to hear from you, man.
It's all good, man. All right. So, do you have a trivia for me to start?
Oh yes, come on.
All right, let's get right to it.
Trivia for you, bro.
All right, let's get right to it then.
Okay, here we go. In the infamous match, the Survivor Series match in 1997 between Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels, I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Give me the name of the ref and what was the name of the match. Like, there was a nickname that was given to the match.
Okay.
Can you give me? Go ahead.
Sure. This is of course the Montreal Screwjob.
That's correct. That's one.
And it was Earl Hebner.
There you go. I knew you did.
Yeah.
That was a little bit too easy for you. I know.
Well, it's such an important match in the history of wrestling, and especially to Canadians. And, the whole Wrestling with Shadows documentary really does such a good job of showing the whole thing, including, Bret punching Vince in the eye and giving him black eye backstage and him spitting on him after the match is over. And, the whole thing where they got Earl to call it really fast because he was in on it. Yeah. I've heard Earl Hebner talk about screwing Bret over and how he was not totally happy with doing it, but he had to keep his job. And it's such a pivotal moment in wrestling because it really it sent Bret to WCW, and it really kind of cemented the Mr. McMahon character as being an evil villain. So yeah.
And guess what? I picked that trivia for a specific reason, which I will get back to later. But we
want to do things fast, so go ahead and just do things. Tell me now, or
no, it ties into everything that I'm going to say.
Okay.
So
all right,
let's get busy. I'll start first with the Summer League.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be completely honest with you, Lex. This Summer League has been completely boring. It's been completely unimpressive. I will say this. Alan Graves is as advertised.
Okay,
like
that's good.
He stood out to me, but I have to be honest, nobody else really. How do I put it? Like everybody was just basically just neutral. Like
I don't see that. I don't see that.
Go ahead.
I would say that you're right that this summer league team has not been as good as ones we've had in the past, like last year or Scotty's year. But I don't see it as being boring. I think that this summer league's been very fun, actually, especially with Seth Lundy making a block to finish a game to win for us by 1. There's been some very exciting moments in the summer league. And I would totally disagree with you that nobody else is impressed. I mean, Seth Lundy's been amazing. Nate Biddle has been very good, and Jamarian Sharp has been better than I thought he would be. So
I was gonna get to those two guys. I was gonna say that Alan Graves is definitely gonna be special. His defensive IQ is off the charts, and the three main. I'm just talking when I talk about impressive. I mean that like really like blew me away in a sense. Guys have been good, right? I do agree. Some guys have been good. You mentioned the three. I think Biddle. We definitely got Biddle's definitely in there. We all know Allen already. The other Sharp has been impressive, but unfortunately, I think he's going to be in the night. He's going to be a 905 for now. I think he's going to have to work his way back up, like work his way to the team. But I look at him like in a Chris role. You know how Chris had his role.
Chris who?
Chris Boucher.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. In a Chris Boucher kind of role.
Yeah.
I look at him like in that frame of mind, like he's a specialty player. I mean, he's not very skilled, but his skill set is something that is desperately needed on this team. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that what's going to happen with Sharp is he'll be on a 2-way, hopefully, and that he'll be able to give his services to both teams. And it may be that he's spending a lot of skill time down with the 905, hopefully trying to cultivate some more offensive skill, because honestly, we saw him take a shot that was like 3 feet from the basket yesterday, and it was awful. Like he had no form. He had no form whatsoever. And that's really, I get what you're saying as a specialty player. And I think that you're right that he is very valuable as a shot blocker and just as a Wemby sized player. But, I think that he could be valuable on the Raptors level too. But it's like the kind of thing where you got to be smart and pick your spots. You got to really pick your spots. All right, Infamous. Let's change the subject. Give me something else real quick.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's go to. I'm heading towards the tempo.
Okay. All right.
I know we have a game. We have a game tonight with the tempo with Atlanta. I got to be 100% honest. That's going to be a tough game. I don't.
Let me say this, because I didn't see us winning on Sunday against the Liberty, and they surprised me. So one of the things I have to realize, even though we're just still learning the tempo, is that I have to allow for the possibility of them to go above and beyond and achieve something in a way that I didn't see happening. So even though it is probably likely we're going to lose to the Dream, I don't know why, but I have a weird feeling that they might win tonight. And I think it's just because we're seeing a certain kind of character of them, and it's Coach Sandy, and there's a pride, and there's kind of like a thing where it's like, you know what? We can go and steal games against really good teams, even if we're hurt with Kiki and Brittany out. So I don't know what to expect. You're right. It's likely we are going to get our butts kicked by the Dream. But who knows? We beat the Liberty the other day, just barely, and got the win against them. So.
Right. But the win against the Liberty, I have to be honest, I knew we were going to win. You know what's funny? I knew we were going to win this game because if you look at it, the Liberty played I watched the game. The Liberty played the night before, and it was a late game.
Yeah.
They played a late game the night before.
And that was a factor for sure.
Yeah, they were coming off a back-to-back, so I said for sure, I have a feeling that the Tempo was going to win.
I didn't. And even right up until the end, I was like, I knew that was a factor that could help us, but I did not trust it. But when they won, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And that's actually why I'm kind of saying what I'm saying about the Dream game today, is because I kind of counted them out against the Liberty on Sunday.
the problem is we don't have a secondary scorer to release the valve, so they can just double up on Eminem. And
right.
that's
that's
going to be because she's our only scorer, right? We don't really have a consistent. I should be clarified that a consistent secondary scorer.
There's no pronounced one. There's no like this is the person kind of in the pecking order that has consistently showed up on the side. And in some ways that should be Conde, but she hasn't done that. She hasn't done that.
We can't say that. We can't pencil in. And I don't know if you noticed, Lex, when is Sykes coming back? You know?
I just covered that earlier. There's no timetable. The latest news is saying she's not back till the 27th. So it's like at least 10 more days. It's past. She's not coming back before the All-Star break, which is next week. And they'll reevaluate her and see if she's back for the first game back. But it's the same thing for Kiki. But anyway, anything else? Just real quick, Infamous. One more thing.
Okay. The last thing that I'll touch on, and this will be a continuation. We will cover. I'll go deep into this further. But I wanted to cover, because we didn't get a chance to discuss it. I wanted to talk about the trade, the meat and potatoes, the trade. And I want to say this.
Which trade?
The Kawhi trade.
Okay. Sorry, we gotta elaborate here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go deeper into this.
Well, I don't want to go deeper. Let's do this the quick shots. Come on. We got to do this. Okay? There's no this is not an hour-long conversation with Infamous here. All right?
No. I'll just say this. Adam Silver needs to go.
You think he needs to go? Wow.
Oh yeah. He definitely needs to go. He definitely needs to go. I tried to defend him for too long.
Yeah.
I've had it with him. And Adam Silver deliberately screwed us. And I'll leave it at that.
I don't think he screwed us.
Oh, I have proof. Yeah,
all right. Well, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is real quick, because I don't see where we've been wrong yet.
Okay. Well, the first thing I wanted to discuss was when there was the tampering situation that was going on with Kawhi.
Okay.
When he was on our team.
Yeah.
Wasn't there no investigation? There was no investigation done around that time. That was clearly tampering
because the NBA does not want scandals, and even if they know there's scandals, if not the right people are making a big deal about it, they don't want to open it up. So in some ways it was us that was a aggrieved party. In some ways Larry was probably like, this is messed up to his friend Adam Silver, but Adam Silver's like, we don't need to rock the boat. You know that Kawhi wanted to leave no matter what, and in some ways we don't need to rock the boat. So
right. And look how many things have happened underneath Silver's leadership, Lex. Like, we can't even deny that.
No, I agree with that.
And the Shams report. See, people, this is something that nobody has mentioned throughout the Shams report. I've been listening. Nobody has mentioned this. I don't know if you have. Maybe I missed your programming. Shams, his first report. Did you hear what he said in his first report? He said the Clippers reached out to a bunch of teams and everything was kosher. Everything was in good faith.
Yeah, Infamous. I did 2 hours on this subject last week and went over all of this stuff on a show. I don't mind going over it again, but in some ways, this is like not a quick phone call subject. You know this.
No, it's not. And I'm gonna go deeper.
If you give me specifics, like I would tell you this: Adam Silver won't be going anywhere because in some ways he's an established person that is protected in a lot of different ways. And let's not be naive to the fact that he's a shark and that he will cut the throats of anybody who comes at him to try and get rid of him. If a player comes at him and says something like Rasheed Wallace or says something about him, they will blacklist him and throw them out of the league. So in some ways, he also has the power of billionaires around him that are the owners. And in some ways, he is their employee and they like what he's doing overall.
Because he makes them money.
Yeah. And that's all the things that matter right there. But I won't disagree with you that he's been bad for the league, that he's done a bad job in different ways. I think that's all right. But if we're being realistic about it, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm not naive, but I think he's in cahoots with Ballmer. And yeah.
Well, I don't even think it's with Bomber. You know, I watched the Pablo Torre podcast yesterday, and he basically said this. You know, this investigation of aspiration right now is not. They say it's an independent investigation, but it's not. It's the NBA is in control of it, not the U.S. Justice Department, not law enforcement. So basically, when they want to talk to people as witnesses, they have to hope that they'll want to. They cannot subpoena them. They cannot threaten them with jail. So basically, Pablo Torre illuminated that nobody in the Clippers organization is talking to them because they don't have to. They legally can say, I'm taking my fifth. I could incriminate myself, or I just don't feel like talking about this with you and I don't have to because you're not the court and you can't threaten me with jail because I'm not talking to you. So the whole reason why this investigation is taking so long is because nobody has to talk to them and nobody from the Clippers is, because they know if they talk to them, they could get fired by Steve Ballmer. They know if they talk to them, they could do more harm to their career than helping them. And in some ways, they have an easy get out of jail pass card because they don't have to legally, because this is not a criminal investigation. This is a investigation in some ways a dog and pony show that Adam Silver is just putting on to make it look like he has some sort of like justice in the NBA.
And Lex, I love you. I gotta run real quick.
Yeah, man.
But I want to say this. I tied it. How do I tie this back to the Survivor Series?
Okay, go ahead.
So Silverman, McMahon, Shawn Michaels, Steve Ballmer, and the Raptors is Bret the Hitman Hart.
Well, listen, I'm not willing to concede that the Raptors have been screwed because honestly, what has come out in the last couple of days is Bobby paused the trade. He took the power of it. When they decided they were going to start investigating and say they can't, not investigate, but they won't finish the deal and you'll have to deal with the punishment. Bobby said, well, we'll wait. We'll pause the trade. And Adam Silver made that very clear 2 days ago when he said it was not the NBA that stopped the trade. The Raptors stopped the trade because they saw that the punishment was still going to be a problem and coming in, and they want to see how the punishment sorts out before they actually agree to the trade. So that's actually the true narrative right now. That nobody's going to say on ESPN clearly, so everybody understands it. Bobby paused the trade. He is the one holding up the trade, and they want to wait until the investigation. Adam Silver would let us do the trade tomorrow on the way it is right now.
They wanted us to eat the whole meal, though.
Yeah, but listen, Bobby's savvy, and we're more likely, as this drags out, to get good things for it than get screwed over.
That is correct. That is a possibility.
So if you want to say we got screwed over when Kawhi was tampered with originally in 2019, that's true. But honestly, I'm not crying over milk that was spilled 7 years ago. I'm more interested in the things that we can gain from this and the possibility that Adam Silver and Kawhi Leonard are coming back here because of that tampering from before to right that wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I love your call. I appreciate it, Infamous, man.
Yeah.
In some ways, what's that?
One more thing before we go. I'm gonna deal with two big poisons when I call in next time, because now I got more time. When I call in next time, there's two big poisons that are infiltrating our league, and that is analytics and Caitlin Clark. And I'm gonna go
I don't know. That sounds like a stretch on both of them. I could give you two bigger poisons, and that is cap circumvention and gambling. Those are probably the two bigger ones. But either way, Infamous, man, I got to get back to the box score and running things. I appreciate your trivia, man. It's fun. All right. Have a great weekend, Infamous. And thanks for the call, man. I appreciate getting other voices on the show. I really do. All right, man. Take care. Love you too. All right. Yeah, I will. I actually probably mow the grass today. So, all right, man. Later. All right, getting back to the box score real quick. Yeah, Jaden Bradley, really bad. Jamarian Sharp, pretty good off the bench. Tyson Degenhart got more run in this game. He did not play in the last game because of probably the fall from the second game. But I love seeing Tyson Degenhart get points. Did you see him do that one play with Hogarth where he was in the corner and then Hogarth's at the top of the key and Hogarth gets him cutting on the baseline and he sneaks in and uses his body to get room and puts in a shot right at the basket? That's a play they ran on 905 all last year. And that's a very much a familiarity play. And I'll say it again, having the 905 guys on the team together, Hogard, Tyreek Key, and Tyson Degenhart has been a real good synergy plus to being able to play Darko's team style of game with guys who've played it and for like a year now, a couple of years for Tyreek Key. So, yeah, Degenhart, I love seeing him get some points. 15 minutes, 4 points, 2 of 5. He missed both his threes, though. 2 rebounds, -6. Jalen Celestine finally got into a summer league game, and he wasn't anything. He got out there for 5 minutes. He did make 1 basket, 1 of 2 from the field for 2 points, 2 rebounds also, a -1. But nice to see the Ajax Canadian out there getting a little bit of summer league experience out there just for a second. AJ Hogart, 17 minutes, 5 points on 2 of 7 shooting. He missed his only 3, made his only free throw, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 1 turnover, a +1. Yeah, Hogart has been steady in a lot of ways, but also at times chaotic. There was, the beginning of the game, the second quarter was amazing for the Raptors. They blew Miami out of the water and built a huge lead. But then in the third quarter, when we came back, the Heat went on a run and they were eating up our lead and coming back. And it was annoying. And part of it was there was too much ball handling, one-on-one, kind of too much fancy dribbling. And Hogart and Bradley were the two that were guilty of this. They were basically holding the ball too much and trying to do fancy dribbles to beat their opponent instead of passing the ball around. So it was a little bit too much selfish isolation, one-on-one kind of action by Hogart and Bradley in the third quarter that kind of stymied our offense for a little while, and we weren't flowing exactly right. And that's part of the reason why the Heat came back on us right there. Brandon Angel got out there. He hit the floor hard at one point. 7 minutes. He missed both his shots, 3 rebounds, though, a +1. He's a strong player, but in some ways, there's probably nothing for him going forward with us. And then Tyreek Key, he's an honorable mention off the bench, 16 minutes, 11 points on 2 of 8 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3, 3 of 3 at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 assist, a +4. Yeah, those 905 guys really kind of like unsung heroes for this summer league experience right now, in some ways. Yeah. On the other side, I'll go ahead and give some credit to Jameer Young, who was amazing. 33 minutes, 30 points on 12 of 24 shooting with 12 rebounds also. So a double-double for that guy. He did have 7 turnovers, though. And the other punch for them was Trey White with 19 points for him. Yeah, it was they really didn't have a lot of firepower and a lot of good players over there. It was nice to see Elijah sitting more close to the coaches this time instead of at the end of the bench with Colin. You should have been sitting there with Chucky and the coaches the whole time, man. I don't know what you're doing, man. In some ways, like at Summer League, maybe you're getting good work in the ballroom. I'll say that. The team stats for the game last night, real quick. Oh, man, this thing's so slow. I don't know why the internet's being so goofy right now. Team stats. Well, like I said, we had a really big second quarter, 38 points, which was fantastic. But the third quarter, we went cold and we couldn't do anything for a little while there. And that really got them back in the game. But yeah, we shot better overall for the game, 45%. And we got 2 less shots on goal than them, but we made 2 more field goals than them. 3-pointers equal, 12 for us, 12 for them. We did shoot less than them, 43%. And a better shooting percentage. We shot better at all 3 categories: field goals, free throws, and 3-pointers. We only missed 2 free throws, 11 for 13, which is badass, 85% from the line. And they out-rebounded us +12, 47 to 35. That's interesting to me. That partly is like offensive rebounds. They got 15 offensive rebounds, so we still need to work on boxing out. The assist-to-turnover ratio, as I said earlier, was fantastic. The Raptors had 26 assists to only 8 turnovers. So you do the math. That's over 3-1 as a team, and that is really, really good. That's the kind of assist-to-turnover ratio that's good for the Raptors in the regular season when they're playing under Darko. So very high-quality team play and taking care of the ball for the most part. Really, really good job. And then, fouls were pretty even by the refs. I didn't feel like the refs were really a big factor in either way, positive or negative. They could have probably checked out that hit to Alan Graves' face and maybe called a flagrant then. I wish they kind of had, but he's a tough guy. He took it in stride and he kept playing. So yeah, that's my look at the box score for the Raptors win over Miami last night in Vegas Summer League. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. That is good stuff. Shaq Lindsay saying, can we trade Jaden for a meal on our flight home? Jeez. I mean, we don't want to be so disrespectful. In some ways, it's like, man, you got to understand, this is like a big time thing. You got to get the ball rolling, and hit the ground running when you first show up in the NBA from the draft. And yeah, I don't know, man. In some ways, we got to continue to just watch this. Like any player, from before, we're just gonna have to see their odyssey, their voyage, their time with the team, and how they do, and what happens. And maybe there's a thing that'll happen, and Jaden will wake up, and we'll see him just be a badass for us. Either way, I don't see it totally, because in some ways he's just not impressive. He's just not impressive. It's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, let's see. Banana Bread Tan saying this. Hang on, where is it? I also like Biddle. Oh my word! I hope the Raptors do sign him and keep him with the main team. He could edge out Pirtle by next year if he keeps playing this like this, keeps improving passing. No, I don't see that. That's crazy talk right there. You got to understand, Pirtle's a 10-year vet. Pearl's got so much built into him that's so good. The only reason why people are so dissing on Pirtle and wanting to move from him is because he had a back problem last year. If he's healthy, he is a top-notch center in this league, and we all need to remember that. There's no way Nate Biddle can learn anything in 1 year enough to supplant Jakob Poeltl. I'm sorry. This is just not happening. This is not happening. There's too much knowledge accrued and too much built in Jakob. And Nate Biddle is not going to be there in 1 year. I mean, and in some ways, that shouldn't be the goal anyway. Is strengthening Yak's back and Yak playing for us for years to come, and he's perfectly fine. Once again, I'm going to say last year was one of the most difficult years for Poeltl in his entire career. He had to deal with the physical injury and the mental aspect of it, because there was no timetable for how his back was going to heal and whether he'd be back. So he went through some real serious stuff last year. And I wish Raptors fans would be more supportive and understanding that Poeltl is our center and he's not going anywhere. Y'all can listen to these Bill Simmons fucking dumbass rumors that they tried to trade him at halfway through the season last year. I don't believe that still. Seriously. And, Poeltl's going to be more healthy this year. He's going to be back to his old self. And y'all are going to eat your words about disrespecting him so much and wanting to change him out and switch him out. And we're going to be very happy to see how well he is this year. So, yeah, no disrespect, Banana Bread Tan, but I stand for Yak. And Yak's not going anywhere. He's going to be healthy and he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. Shaq Lindsay saying, I'm sold on Nate. Reminds me of Robin Lopez. Yeah, that's not who he reminds me of. He's better than Robin Lopez in some ways with some of his skills. Brooke Lopez is the better Lopez brother. I would have liked it if you'd said Brooke Lopez, because Robin Lopez isn't that good. Brooke Lopez has had a 3-point shot. I think you met Brooke Lopez. I don't think you met Robin. I think you met Brooke. That's the one. Shaq Lindsay saying Allen play style is similar to Nicholas Batum. Yeah, I don't glaze Nicholas Batum. That guy is a jabroni, that French guy. So, no, I won't say that either, because I don't think that's a compliment. I don't think that's a compliment. What do they all have in common? Kawhi? What do they have in common? I mean, I don't know. Their hands. This is the hands team. That's what it is. Smooth saying this. Good morning, Smooth. My stepmom lives in Germany and could care less about basketball. However, she watched the 2019 NBA Finals because of the Raptors. So that's what I'm saying. We got to understand the U.S. is so up its own ass that they're so egocentric to themselves. How dare any other place be more important or have other things going on? And that's part of the thing that's shooting them in the butt for losing being the number one world power in the world. Because in some ways, Krasnov's done his job. Putin has destroyed the U.S. from within because Trump is his agent. And he's absolutely destroying the country, literally in front of their faces, destroying the White House, destroying the national parks, destroying the air, destroying the healthcare, destroying the education system, destroying democracy, destroying the voter process. He's destroying so many different things. He's destroying the sanctity of the Supreme Court. He's destroyed the power of the American government with the three chambers of it. He's destroying the country from within. The USSR used him, or Russia's used him to do this. So it's like they don't understand that their shit stinks real bad, and they don't think that their shit stinks. And that's part of the problem. Everything is so biased, and everything is propagandized, and everything is like put down the other stuff to prop us up, even though we're horrible. And honestly, it's like no comparison in some ways. It's pretty bad. Shaq Lindsay saying this: Lundy, Nate, and Sharp are keepers. Let's send Jaden to the D League, but not ours. It's the G League. It's no longer called the D League. The D League is an old thing that doesn't. It's not. People get mad when you call it the D League now. It used to be called the Developmental League. That's why it was called the D League. But the D had a connotation of like a grade in your report card, and D's not a good grade. And so people got really bad vibrations from using the word D League. So they changed it to G League because everybody's a G down on the G League. So, yeah, make sure you're up to date, because I don't think it's been the D League for at least 10 years, at least. If not, Randolph is here. Good morning to Randolph Phillips. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, fam. People will see and recognize you even when you are not seeking recognition. Just be the best version of yourself and do everything from a place of love. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because there's a lot of leadership that's doing things out of hate. And there's a lot of people that are trying to foster regular and normalize hate as the action. And it's the just. That's not Christ-like. It's not Christ-like. All you Christians in the United States that think you're good Christians while you're like supporting ICE and you're supporting Israel, you're not. You are absolutely reprehensible. And you're not supporting Christ-like entities. ICE and Israel's genocide are not with Jesus. Let's just put it that way. And y'all are very misguided. So, yeah, real quick, I'll do the HD check-in real quick. We are in the gate of 62, and we are line 5 today. And the word for today is metamorphosis. Metamorphosis, a tendency and metamorphosis to seek acclaim through dramatic presentation. That sounds interesting. When the details are organized, the need for attention demands expression. Okay, that's the detriment. When excellence is achieved, action is necessary. So, yeah, the reaching out to others to share, symbolized by the moon's phases as it moves from darkness to eventually sharing fully its light. The understanding that only when the details are complete can action or expression be initiated. So it's about metamorphosis. It's about changing within yourself, behind the scenes, away from everybody, and then revealing yourself later in the new state so that you can show the lesson or the information that you learned while you were in the change. So that's the theme for today, metamorphosis. And we're in gate 62, line 5. Yeah, just a little check-in with that. So Reggie's saying this: being reported per Mark Stein, DeMar DeRozan interested in a reunion with the Raptors. Yes, this has been put out in the last couple days. But once again, just because people say they want this or they want that, is it realistic? Is the groundwork for it happening? I said the other day in our Discord server, I would say the percent chance of DeMar DeRozan playing for the Raptors next year is about 5% out of 100%. And the only way it happens, and this is the only scenario I could see it where it could happen, is Kawhi gets punished. They void his last year of his contract as part of the punishment. He's not allowed to play this season. And we get DeMar as a switch, as a salary cap filler at a price that he should be paid at. And he gets minutes and time on the court that he should be getting for his caliber. That's the only way I see it happening, is whether they come out with the punishment and they void Kawhi's contract. He cannot play this year. And we have a stopgap year where we have DeMar back in that role instead. Coming in as a free agent, and we pay him a little bit better because the money's off the books as far as we're not paying Kawhi, and Kawhi can't play because he's suspended. So that's the only way I see it happening. And I think that percent chance out of 100 of that happening is about 5%, even less maybe. So it's not about what people want. And there's been a post by DeMar that's kind of cryptic that just came out yesterday, and people are reading way too into it. In fact, a lot of us are saying he's trolling us. He's just trolling us right now. He's not actually, in some ways, I don't know what to think with DeMar. I just want to see this all get figured out. But in some ways, I'm very patient to it. And I know a lot of people don't like the uncertainty. A lot of people are crashing out. A lot of people are thinking that this is so horrible for the Raptors. It's not. Bobby's in control, and understand that he paused this trade and he did it for a reason. So he's smart. He's a smart guy. He's going to get this all figured out for the best for us. Okay. You got to trust Bobby. You got to trust Bobby. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying this: the Save America Act speech last night sounded like a desperate plea to save my ass act. I don't know why he can't let go of losing the 2020 election. You lost, motherfucker. In fact, you probably lost 2016 and 2024 too, but you cheated and got ran out on the stage and said I won before they actually counted all the votes with Hillary. And then the one with Kamala, you had Elon manipulate the election devices from the satellites. And all the battleground counties in Pennsylvania and Michigan and all these other states just barely went to you in such a suspicious way that you guys manipulated it just barely to beat Kamala. And you didn't actually win against Kamala Harris. You stole this election. That's the whole thing. Everything Trump says is an admission of guilt. If he accuses other people of things, he's doing the thing he's accusing them of. If he says that Joe Biden's doing this or Barack Obama's doing this, he is telling you what he is doing. So listen to him very clearly. See what he accuses people of. And he is telling you exactly what he is guilty of when he does that. And I don't know what he said in the speech. I have no time for him. In fact, I've very successfully, over the last 10 years or so, avoided listening to him in his voice as much as possible because I live in Canada. And in some ways, I don't give a shit about my American passport or ever going back to the United States ever again as an American citizen also. And in some ways, I don't need to listen to him. So I don't. I hear about what's going on through other things. Yeah, he's trying to save his ass all right. And that's why he's trying to bend rules for the midterms, because he knows he's going to fail miserably and he's going to get a lot of stuff. All the votes are going to go against what he stands for, which is awesome. Shaq Lindsay saying Nate shoots threes like a guard. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, sure. I like that he has a little bit further out range, and there's a lot of confidence there. I'm telling you, he's not just a big guy that can shoot the threes, kind of. No, he's an actual good three-point shooter, just like Alan Graves. And you can see them as a 1-2 punch this summer league as three-point shooters. Shaq Lindsay saying Allen isn't soft like Dick. Okay, come on now. He didn't play in the playground growing up. He played in the swamp. Laugh out loud. I mean, I know I made a comparison to Grady to Allen and how much Allen's a more dependable three-point shooter to me right now already. But they're really very different players. But in some ways, some of the stuff that we were sold on about Grady is actually true in Allen. That hustle player that's all over the place, that's just making things happen. In some ways, Grady could be more like Allen. In some ways, he showed promise with that, like running up and just taking the ball from people or just doing stuff. But in some ways, part of it is confidence. And I would say the difference between Alan Graves and Grady Dick is that Alan Graves is unflappably confident. There's not going to be a lot of ways to get him off his game by making him feel bad. Grady, in some ways, thought he was impenetrable for that, but he wasn't. He got down on himself. He had hard games. And that whole, you can say you are mentally strong and nothing will throw you off your game, but that is easier said than actually done in practice because you're in the NBA and this shit is hard. So we'll just have to see if Alan Graves in his rookie year hits some walls at some point with his confidence. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, this is actually way harder than I thought. We'll have to see. But in summer league so far, he's doing fine. That's right. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam, and happy game day. Grab the rebounds from Angel. Yeah, she's a big, important player that we got to watch out for. I think in the assignment, it's going to be a lot of Isabel and Niara and some Kayla on her, maybe even a little Temi. But yeah, the bad blood between Harrison and Reese from earlier this season, will we see it surface again tonight? We'll have to see, you know. But yeah, definitely somebody we got to watch for. The tape on Irfan from the other day is very useful against Reese because they're similar in some ways as offensive rebounders and just menaces on the boards. So, yeah, a lot of the stuff that you can apply to Kiki Irfan, you can apply to Angel Reese as far as like, you got to stop this player from getting on the boards. Yeah, for sure. Mr. Greg saying good morning to Fiercey. Wilt Chamberlain, according to the guy who kept stats for the NBA for 50 years, stated Wilt Chamberlain averaged 8.8 blocks over a game over his entire career. That, that's interesting, and I'll bet, but they didn't keep that stat back then, right? So it's kind of crazy if you think about it. The blocks and steals leaders, those numbers would be different for like if you really kept the earlier eras, like those stats were kept. And yeah, I could believe this because Wilt in his era was really gargantuan compared to the average NBA player. And he really was like that. I mean, it was like Shaq playing with Bob Cousy's, a bunch of Bob Cousy's. And yeah, ripe for the picking, all kinds of places to get block shots there. That does not surprise me in the least. And it's a shame that they didn't keep those stats back then. It is a shame. Smooth saying, until the Leonard situation is resolved, the roster situation will be in flux, man. Now, I don't really see this. I mean, Bobby is such a smart planner that he has it all kind of figured out. He's got probably about 100 different plans just in case, contingency plans. But he's probably got a general idea of what he wants to do with the roster and how it'll happen. I mean, really, our roster's mostly figured out. We have like 3 million left to spend, and we have 3 spots open. So, it's not like, we're going to get another Kyle Anderson signing. Everybody who thinks, oh, we just have all the money in the world to spend. No, there's a hard cap. It's 209 million, and we are right under it right now. So when we got to fill these spots creatively. So it is really kind of showing that the likely scenario is we're going to go cheap on more rookies. And that means Biddle and Sharp and possibly Lundy. Even bringing AJ Lawson back because of his years in the league, he's probably priced out for the amount of money that we have available right now, let alone DeMar DeRozan. Seriously. Raptors fans get so pie in the sky, like, oh, I'd love to do this. I'd love to do that. Y'all are not tethered to reality. You do not live on the moon like Bobby Webster and understand the real landscape and the politics and what's possible with the rules and the salary cap and the money that we actually have. You can go ahead and think, oh, I want Jonas, I want DeMar, I want Kyle, I want all these people on our team. Well, this is not realistic because the settings of the team at this point are not jiving with that happening. And that's why I would say that's the only way that DeMar could end up on this team is the scenario I just explained. And I don't see it any other way, even if the reunion would be so nice and so awesome. Unless DeMar's crazy and he'll play for us for $1 million or something like that for the whole year, I don't see it. I just don't see it. It's crazy. But yeah, I think most of it's figured out. It's not really in flux. It's just basically right now we've got carrots to put in front of people like Biddle and Lundy and say, look, do so well at Summer League, do so well at preseason, and you could be a Raptor by the end of all this in October. And that's how it works right there. That's what we're looking at right there. Yeah. Smooth saying this, I'm not sold on anything in Summer League. Seen too many busts until proven otherwise. That's what I was saying to Kareem. Kareem was going on about Malawak for Phoenix and saying, oh, he was good. He's doing so good in Summer League. I'm like, man, this is Summer League, bro. He still has to do this in regular season NBA, get out on the court and do it consistently there. And because he was trying to say, oh, no, see, Malawak's just as good as Colin, and both teams did good with their draft picks. I'm like, no, they didn't. Colin did his shit against Cleveland in the playoffs. And Colin Malawak has not done jack shit in the NBA correctly, consistently yet. He's showing signs in Summer League of some progress right now, but that doesn't mean that's translating to the NBA season yet. So I agree with Reggie on this. In some ways, you shouldn't look at this. Yeah. Stargate's saying easy work for Lex. I appreciate that. Stargate, good to see you, man. Mr. Greg saying, yeah, for the wrestling questions. Yeah. Mr. Greg saying, what was the first screw job in WWF Okay, he's going old school. He's going to really test me here. He's going to really test me here. Check this out. After Vince took over from his father, oh man. Well, all right. The very famous screw job was the Wendy Richter one. Is that the one you're talking about with the black spider, the Spider Woman? That screw job is the first kind of major screw job where Wendy Richter of Dallas got too big as the WWF women's champion, and Moolah wanted her belt back, but they tricked Wendy. They had Moolah come out in a mask and they screwed her over. They pinned her without her knowing that she was going to lose to the Spider Woman, and then the Spider Woman took her mask off and it was Moolah. I think that's the one you're talking about, Greg. Am I right? It could be also that he screwed over Stu Hart because he screwed over him with acquiring his talent and some promises he made to him as far as with Stampede Wrestling and World Wrestling Federation. We could say that he screwed over all the territory promoters with how he took over the whole industry with cable and shut out and took all the good stars from all the territories. In some ways you could say he screwed over his dad because in some ways he didn't run the company the way that Vince McMahon Sr. wanted either. So I would say it's probably the Spider Lady is what you're alluding to right here. That's the one right there. Yeah. Medved Ted saying they've now opened an investigation in Gary Trent's contract. So many teams trying to circumvent the cap is getting out of hand. The Gary Trent Jr. situation, and I was going to talk about this today, is interesting. I looked into it a little bit more. I mean, it was kind of, it was such a weird position when he was in that summer when the cap hit and like everybody's getting shitty contracts. And Gary went to Milwaukee initially for like $2 million a year. Now they're saying that he had a handshake agreement with them from that time that will pay you shitty for a couple years, but then we'll give you a big payday later. Don't they do this shit in baseball and it's legal? Like if you have an existing agreement with somebody and you just coming around to pay them correctly at this point, why can't they do this? I feel like this is overreach in some ways. Like if the Bucks want to pay Gary Trent Jr. so much money this year, let them. That's their mistake to make. And why is this being such a big deal? They can investigate this, and I'll be interested to see if there's any kind of repercussions. But in some ways, I'm like, this is stupid. Why are y'all mad at this? Is this really a needle pusher in the league, like Kawhi and certain things that happen with him? No, it's Gary Trent Jr. Now I get it; it's fishy. He's getting the biggest contract of his whole entire career after his worst statistical year in the NBA, and that's probably why they're investigating it right there. Is that he's getting the biggest contract of his whole entire NBA career the year after his worst year in the NBA. So, I mean, I get that. And, it's very likely that it is true that they promised him more money after paying him shit for a couple years to keep him around. Either way, this is exactly what they did with Joe Smith, apparently, and caused the whole Joe Smith thing to happen. Either way, I mean, I feel for Gary. I think that Gary should get paid correctly because he did get underpaid for a couple years just now. And I'm going to be on the side of the Trent family, even though, they probably may be guilty in this. And I don't know. It's the Bucks that probably should be punished for this shit. If there is anything, like, why would you punish them? They seem like they're already punishing themselves, right? They seem like they're already punishing themselves. And this is different than what happened with Kawhi. This is a different kind of cap circumvention. It's a different one. And in some ways, this one I don't think is as bad as the Kawhi stuff. Yeah, Reggie's saying this. Adam Silver is putting pressure on LeBron to make a decision, yet is okay with this Kawhi trade to be on hold. Yeah, idiot. Well, in some ways, let's think. What do you think? Adam Silver probably wanted the trade to just go through and then us to deal with the ramifications afterwards. Bobby's smart. Bobby paused it because that's what Adam made very clear on Tuesday, that he did not stop this trade. He would have allowed this trade to go through. But because of the investigation and the things that the NBA said to Bobby Webster said, whoa, no, we're going to pause this trade then. We'll put it on hold then. And that's it. So in some ways, people that are mad that the trade has been paused, you can be mad at Bobby Webster because he's the one who's doing it, but he's doing it to be safe for our team. You could also be mad at Adam Silver for not calling off his fake ass independent investigation and just ending it right now. And also, you could be mad at the Clippers employees and all the people that are supposed to be witnesses that will not answer Wachtel's calls or talk to them this whole entire year. And that's why this has been dragged out. So those are the things right there. Bobby paused it. Adam Silver could end the investigation if he wanted to because he has that power. And you can get mad at all the Clippers people that are not participating or cooperating with the investigation. That's the places right there. That's the issues right there. Yeah, it's right there. Infamous. So thank you for calling today, man. Reggie's saying this. Nate Biddle might not ever be there, man. Nate Biddle might never be there. Where? What are you talking about? What do you mean? He's on an exhibit 10 with us, and we have dibs on him. That's different than just a summer league invite, like some of these other guys that have showed up. Some of these guys can go anywhere like right now, but we do have a marker on Nate Biddle that we have the first chance to figure out things with him. And plus, you got to think about this. I think that he likes our organization and that he'd be very happy to sign on with us and be a part of what we're doing up here. I think he's liking playing for us in the ballroom and everything like that. You know, Kaloy saying this, there is a place in the team for Yak, Biddle, then Sharp. Yeah. I mean, that's a true center. You know, that's one of the things that was awesome about this summer league is we had a true center and a true backup center. And we even had a third guy down the way with Aziz that's possible too. And I like having a true team with true centers staffing it. This is not something I'm used to with either the Raptors or the Tempo or even Team Canada. And, you know, it's a nice feeling to have depth at that position. In fact, Jeremy Lin and the announcer was saying this, man, the Raptors are so lucky. They have such a powerful two center combo with Biddle and Sharp that it seems like it's almost unfair. They said that during the broadcast yesterday. I like that. I like having things seem a little unfair because we have a 7'5" guy and another center that's bombing threes. So yeah, I'd love to see that on the Raptors too, for sure. There is a place for this, and they're different looks. Yak, Biddle, and Sharp, very different centers. Very different centers. Infamous is saying, I hope Jaden gets it together. Hopefully, getting him in the Raptors system will help, but doesn't look promising so far. But let's be positive. Allen's defense is already NBA ready. Love defense and IQ. I completely agree. DeMar maybe need based on the punishment that Kawhi may get. I'm all in on getting DeMar. You know, I like DeMar a lot, and I think he'd be fine on our team. But in some ways, also, I really think that this is like getting way overblown, and it's not likely to happen. And I don't want people to get upset about it, and I don't want people to be mad because it didn't happen. It's just it's a long shot. That's what I would say to Raptors fans. DeMar DeRozan being back on the Raptors ever again, whether it's this year or years in the future, is a long shot. And there's all kinds of reasons why. There's all kinds of reasons why. Once again, I put him priority is his own personal journey to climb up the NBA all-time career scoring list. That is the most important thing to me if I'm DeMar DeRozan in some ways. Sure, he wants to compete in the playoffs. That's important to him. That's probably number one to him right now. But I would say, man, don't drop the ball on your ability with where you are with your career points to move up and possibly top 10 all-time greatest scorers with the most points ever in the NBA's history because you're up there. And going to a team where you won't get full minutes and full shots is going to hinder that. And that's why I don't want you on our team because in some ways, I really do believe in the thing we're building around Scotty. And in some ways, the things that we do with this team, we can't necessarily afford to have DeMar DeRozan in isolation doing all of his different things that he does offensively like we did 10, 15 years ago. No, we can't do that. We can't do that, guys. In some ways, that's going back in the time machine. Nostalgia will kill you. And in some ways, nostalgia is not necessary right here. Kawhi is a different kind of nostalgia. And in some ways, it is partly the difference of trading DeMar for Kawhi in the first place that I'm talking about here. Because if we do get Kawhi, we're going for Larry's. And in some ways, DeMar may not be the right step in the direction for that, is what I'm saying also. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. In some ways, I want this for him just for a nice story, but a nice story or a championship? What do we want, Raptors fans? Seriously. Kaloy saying Graves is just a heady player, makes all the right plays and looking like not shine for the moment. Bobby strikes again. Yeah, I think Bobby's done fantastic, honestly. He's done fantastic. Alan Graves is an analytical darling, and he knows it, and he smiles when he says it. He really is. He's just got really good percentages for getting steals and block shots. And, well, he can shoot threes too. Oh my gosh. It's so good. It is so good. Infamous is saying, exactly, Reggie. Show where Adams' priority is at LeBron over the actual criminal investigation. Shaking my head. This dude is all about the money. He needs to go. Well, that's what he cares about. That's what he's there to do, is to maximize profits for the partners and the owners and the people involved. It was interesting what Pablo Torre's podcast went over about the salary cap and how the CBA and the players and the owners and how they balance things to make it fair. And if they don't punish Steve Ballmer for cap circumvention, the league is fucked. And in some ways, the players are fucked. They went over how the players would get screwed over because it could devolve into a scenario where the players aren't getting their fair share of the profits of the league anymore. See, that's the whole thing about the salary cap. The salary cap is an agreement between the owners and the players and the league, and it's partly there to protect the players so that they're getting their percentage of the profits of the league correctly from the owners, because that's something they had to fight for. Because in the back in the day, if you read the book Blackball, you will hear that the players were getting such underpaid salaries that they had to strike. They had to hold out. They had to stop and not play the All-Star game to get the proper contracts. So what happens when a team goes around the salary cap like aspiration deal is that it ruins the whole system, and then it gets lawless. And eventually the people that pay for it are actually the players, because it's a union versus a monopoly thing. And the NBA is a monopoly. In some ways, you can go to the CBL, but you're not going to get paid the same thing. It's like it's the only show in town. So there's antitrust laws in the U.S. government about that they have to have a union for the players. And that union for the players protects the players from being screwed over by the owners and not getting their percentage of the profits correctly. And it all is dependent on each other. So if one part of it gets screwed up by cap circumvention, it all falls apart and it ruins the league. So it's a delicate balance, and it's important for the owners and the players and everybody to play by the rules. And if they don't, like aspiration, Steve Ballmer and Kawhi did, this is a big problem, and they need to fix it. They need to fix it. Criscom's here. Good morning, Criscom. Can't wait to see Graves and Colin together. Yeah, it's going to be fun. And with Scotty and Kawhi, oh, man, this is going to be fun. I agree with the confidence comparison with Graves and Grady. Still got love for Grady. He had good confidence coming in. He, in theory, came in as a very strong young man from Kansas with tons of confidence, but it got wrecked at different times. Early in his rookie year, he built it back up in the second half, and then he got wrecked again in his third year. And in some ways, it's just tough. You got to be a dead eye, Grady. You got to be such a sure shot. If you're not a sure shot, you're not in the NBA, and you weren't a sure shot last year. That's the big problem right there. Mr. Greg saying Wilt wasn't that much bigger than most of the centers. Walt Bellamy was 6'11", and Willis Reed was 6'10". Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were some guys that were rival his size. Of course, we know the great matchup between Chamberlain and Russell was an epic battle back then. Like, that would be like Olajuwon versus O'Neal or Olajuwon versus Ewing. There were some guys around that time, but not that many. That's what I'm trying to say. You're talking about maybe 5 guys in the league that were anywhere near Wilt's size. It's a similar thing to when the league started with George Mikan. George Mikan was a giant among everybody else, and that's part of the reason why he was the most dominant player in the early NBA in the very first years is because of that. So you got Mikan, Russell, and Chamberlain to like O'Neal into like Wemby. The different eras and dominance and size and stuff like that. So I got it right. I was right about the Spider Woman, and that was the screw job. And you have never even watched the WWF, WWE. That pissed you off. So you were a WWF fan, worldwide wrestling fan of Vince McMahon Sr., and you were watching Bruno, and you were watching the Wild Samoans, and Jesse Ventura and Adonis and all them from like the late 70s into the early 80s. And then when you saw Wendy Richter
get screwed over by Vince and Fabulous Moolah, that turns you off and you stop watching then. And that's right when Hulkamania hit and the whole industry went crazy and mainstream. That's interesting. I mean, I like that perspective. I'm blessed enough to be the age that I was young enough. I'm old enough that I actually went to territory wrestling before it all got shut down in the early 80s. I used to go to Florida wrestling matches when it was still a territory and the Graham family owned it. And then Crockett came and took it over and absorbed it into their product in the mid 80s. But I did go to some straight up Florida territory wrestling when I was still young, before things got really crazy with the WWF. So yeah, I mean, that's the days. Those were the days back then. That's the wrestling of my father and my grandfather. It's like my grandfather was a huge wrestling fan. He was like watching wrestling way back in the day with Gorgeous George and all that stuff way back. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas, our dunk champion. Shout out to the Raptors draft room team. The fact that they picked a college 6-man 19-year-old is crazy to me. You know, it's analytics. It's just doing their homework. You know, Bobby said when they drafted Allen, he said he passes the eye test, he passes the analytics test, and he's also a great young man who we brought in, and everything as far as personality wise, work, drive, it all is check marks. Like Alan Graves checks all the boxes. He's got a good eye test. You watch him play, he's like, wow, that guy's good. And the stats prove it too when they back it up with evidence. So yeah, I mean, they just do their homework and they find the right one. It's the same thing as Colin Murray-Boyles last year. It was the right one, right? Kaloy saying, I read somewhere that Gary Trent Jr. contract has a complaint, like somebody's complaining about it. I mean, leave Gary alone. Let John Horst make bad decisions and overpay Gary Trent Jr. There's nothing wrong with this. There's always a bad contract somewhere in all sports. Like, oh, that's an overpay. Oh, that's an overpay. It just looks suspicious because of the timing with his stats and stuff. It's stupid. It's like, man, why? Why not? You know, they just lost Giannis. This team's going to be bad either way. They want to throw a couple extra bones to Gary Trent because they underpaid him for a couple years. I don't see what the problem is, but I guess this is the same problem they had with Joe Smith, is what the problem is. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Medved Ted saying this: you can take a pay cut and make handshake deals because you can then create super teams. That's true. That's why Medved Ted just hit it on the nail. Is like, all right, what's to say that this year these guys are at the end of their career? They can't really do this. Well, who's to say that LeBron and DeMar both go to Miami and sign for nothing, but they still have years later, and Miami promises, well, we'll pay you the more money later on, but for this year, just to squeeze you in as a super team with Giannis and Bam, we're going to put you on the team for nothing. And, you know, we'll Bobby Bonilla you. We'll do something like that. Yeah. We'll pay you like millions of dollars after your career's over. Like that Bobby Bonilla deal is like this, right? They still pay Bobby Bonilla $1 million almost every year for like 30 years later after he's played, because the deal they structured at that time with the Mets was so convoluted and fucked up. Some of this is like Ohtani's deal. The Dodgers is kind of crazy and seems like a cap circumvention in some of the things that they're doing with his money and how they're structuring when they'll pay him the big money and when they won't. You know, I get what Medved Ted's saying here. He's exactly right. This is the why you can't do this. Maybe Gary's is not a big needle pusher or one that's scary to league, but the whole action just done is bad because other teams may do this, and it may be a needle pusher that's coming in on the cheap and doing this. So this makes total sense. And Medved Ted's getting a dunk because he's a voice of reason. He just gave me the counter argument why this does matter about Gary. This is why it matters. So, all right, Medved Ted. Let's see. You are getting you're gone to the old Colin number. You got a Nate Biddle 12, man. You got a Nate Biddle 12 for that one right there. Medved's also saying this. It's not so much about Gary in the money. It's more about the cap circumvention the teams do to get an advantage. Yeah. I get it. This makes sense. Very good argument made back. And this is exactly right. Infamous is saying Bobby is smart to pause the trade. He is a smart man. He would have done his homework before doing the deal. I believe the Clippers are snakes, along with Silver, getting us to eat the whole meal. Shaking my head. This is just a mistrust. But look, we've got to understand there are rules out there to protect us. And Bobby knows the rules, and Bobby knows how to make sure that we don't get in trouble. If this is not the way it happens, and we do get some sort of punishment or some bullshit because of this, we'll definitely talk about it on this channel. And we'll definitely go over why this bullshit happened. But I don't see it happening. I think Bobby's going to safeguard us. And it's more likely that we're going to get a lot of positive things from this whole situation than negative things. I'm really hoping. Although, they can't just let us enjoy getting Kawhi back. In some ways, that's part of the action here, too, is that some people want to rain on the Raptors Nation's parade. And, it's a very joyous thing and something awesome. Kawhi coming back to Toronto, but haters out there are hating, and they're getting in the way and trying to rain on the celebration is part of it. You guys got to understand that. Kaloy's saying they have to nail Bomber, but I think it's a long shot. I don't think the same people who talk to Pablo won't talk to Schwatchel. The thing is that Pablo Torre they should be thankful to him, but also this is the thing. This is what they said on that Pablo Torre episode that you posted yesterday, Kaloy, and I appreciate that, is that they aren't writing anything down because they don't want any paper trails. It could very well be Adam Silver's like, Walktel, investigate us, but don't really investigate us. Don't keep any papers. Don't keep any evidence. Just investigate us, but don't really investigate us. Okay. Because it could be like that, seriously. And it could be all a dog and pony show and just a window dressing. Walktel is actually a very reputable, upstanding law firm. And in some ways, their reputation's on the line. So I don't know. We'll have to see how this all comes about. I'll be happy when it's all resolved and we can be past it, is what I will say. Yeah. Kareem saying, does Silver hate or like Toronto? If Bobby didn't back away from the situation, do you think Silver would have thrown the book at Kawhi? All right. There's a lot of supposing here. Adam Silver actually does like Toronto. Adam Silver wants Toronto in the league. It's a weird thing where he's cool with Toronto. He wants Toronto. He's been cool with Larry Tannenbaum. He loved the idea of Toronto winning the championship. He likes the international feel. He wants to do NBA Europe. Of course, he wants international feel to the NBA and the WNBA. But the media and everybody that works underneath the umbrella of the NBA hates Toronto. ESPN obviously hates Toronto. They hate us so much. They hate us so much they'll overlook Colin Murray-Boyles on a list of intriguing sophomores for this year. They hate us so much that they'll list Marina Mabrey on the WNBA All-Star roster as playing for Dallas Wings. They hate us so much they'll put Marina Mabrey's sister's face on the intro pictures instead. This is all trolling, on purpose mistakes. So we got to separate the two. There's the individual Adam Silver, and then there's the whole NBA US media who does the bullshit that they do underneath it. I think that's the thing to say there. I don't think, all right, first of all, Adam Silver doesn't want to throw the book at anyone. In some ways, he wants this to all just go away. If Pablo Torre didn't exist, he'd be happier. Let's just put it that way. If he could have just moved on and there wasn't any big deal with this and nobody made a big deal about aspiration, he would have been happier. It would have been a lot less headache because honestly, there's so much bullshit that probably happens underneath that's scandalous that we never hear about. And we only heard about this because of Pablo Torre. So let's be real about this. Do you think he really wants to punish anybody? No, but he's going to have to for the safety of the league going on forward and being straight and narrow and up and up. Infamous is saying this, the defense potential with Kawhi in the mix could have us at least top 3 in the league. And you know what? Colin Murray-Boyles said it in his interview with William Liu this week. He thinks that we can have the number 1 defense in the league with Kawhi. And he's right. We have players that can lock down all quadrants of the floor. Exactly. We're going to be a badass team. We just need to get this deal done. And next year, you're going to see it with Leonard. I keep telling Monique, who's not cool with Kawhi yet, I give you till Christmas. By December, you're going to be loving Kawhi again because he's going to be doing such badass things for us to help us win. And you're going to be fine with him very soon when you see that. Kaloy saying, no, Kareem, the punishment is for Kawhi, not the Raptors. but the trading for that player will, of course, deal with the player punishment. That was the whole. There was so much miswording on purpose by ESPN and Shams at the very breaking of the story about Adam Silver and aspirations still having to be figured out, that they tried to make everybody think that the Raptors would assume all of the penalties for the Clippers. In fact, they straight up said that in misinformation at a couple places. Maybe it was even Clippers people, or even Steve Ballmer directed it. It's like, I need a press person that's going to say the Raptors will take all the punishment for us, because it's deflection. It's them kind of trying to say, oh, it's mudslinging. They want to make us look bad, even though we didn't do anything wrong. And they even want to start normalizing the idea that the Raptors will get punished somehow, some way for this. Raptors Nation, don't believe this shit, because Bobby is going to hold them to the rules and going to say, why are you punishing us for this? And he's not dumb enough to take the punishment. We have to realize there's a lot of normalizing bad shit in our society right now that's not right, whether it's AI data centers, whether it's normalizing ICE just shooting people on the street. You know, the press out there is going to try and normalize things to get fast ones past us. It's almost like the new way of grifting and kind of being a liar. And well, the press has come out and said the Raptors will absorb punishment for this Kawhi Clipper thing. It was absolute horse crap. Absolute horse crap. And even the wording when they said it, I was critical thinking when I was looking at it. I was like, this is all horse shit. This isn't true. But they'll say that and people will believe that. And then Raptors casuals and nephews will run around like they're pissed off, like William Liu, because they think we're getting screwed over somehow, some way like this. And that's why I was trying to tell some of the Raptor freaks here today that say we're going to get screwed over. No, don't believe this shit. That is partly the misinformation of the media at this point. Shams even worded it poorly when he first initially broke the news. He worded it so poorly. And he put an emphasis. In some ways, he's deflecting from the idea that the Clippers should be punished to saying, and if the Raptors accept the trade and Kawhi comes here, they accept all the punishment for Kawhi. But even then, if you suss that out, well, what does that mean? Do we lose draft picks? Hell no, because Kawhi doesn't have anything to do with our draft picks. It's more about if he gets suspended or he gets fined, that he has to pay that himself. So it's like the wording is misleading, and people got to stop taking news for what they want to say to us and start thinking critically about the situations, because this has been manipulated to mislead Raptors Nation. Let's just put it that way. And it's not just the stateside people. Josh Lundberg put out some shady shit immediately after it to gaslight Raptors fans that wasn't exactly correct right at the beginning. And in some ways it's fear mongering and also rage bait kind of stuff. Oh, we want you to click on this because we know this will probably piss you off. And that's why we want you to, we'll word it in a way that gets a rise out of you. Something like that. You know that's a lot of the manipulation in this, right? You understand that, right? Medved Ted saying Wachtel Lipton lawyers interviewed Kawhi, Uncle Dennis, Ballmer, and a couple of months ago. For some reason, they met with Ballmer again last week. If he was truly innocent and only made introduction to aspiration as he claimed, why do the lawyers want to speak with him again? See, that's the thing. I'm telling you, part of the reason why this is taking so long is they're not cooperating. They're not cooperating. So either way, once again, I will tell Raptors Nation, be patient. Let's let it all be sorted out. And I'm pretty sure everything's going to work out really great for us, for our team, Toronto. You know, Isaac's saying this, Kawhi should just publicly announce that he is a billionaire and they will leave him alone. That's hilarious. All right, Isaac, you want a dunk for a joke? That is funny. That is funny. That's a sad joke, but it's also funny in some ways. That's hilarious in some ways. All right, so you're 106, my guy. 106. You're above the century mark. There you go. There you go. All right, Kaloy's saying Bobby is gaming it, probably so he can finagle the being back pick. What? Or adding protection, or probably remove the pick swap. Dunk for Isaac. Yeah, dunk for Isaac. He got it. No, we've said this too. It's like, think about it. They come out with the punishment, and the punishment has some detriments to Kawhi and him coming to us. Bobby can renegotiate to an extent the deal with the Clippers and maybe get some picks back. That's what we've been saying right here. Yeah. Kareem's saying Bobby Bonilla Day, aka Canada Day, is where he gets $1.1 million until 2035. Yeah, that seems like a totally convoluted arrangement by the Mets so long ago in baseball. But see, they don't have any rules in baseball. They are absolutely pay to win in that league. But the NBA doesn't want to be like that. And thank God, because I wouldn't respect the NBA if it was like this. This is part of the reason why I don't respect the MLB, is because it's like that. It would have been awesome to see Graves and little CMB this summer, but CMB is a proven commodity already. Yeah, they don't want to take any chances. We'll see this soon enough, guys. We'll see Colin and Allen running together soon enough in the fall. Infamous is saying, Lex, what do you think is a fair punishment for the situation if true? I believe the Clippers lose 5 picks. Kawhi suspended for 15 to 20 games. Well, I don't know if Kawhi is suspended, because that's not actually in the history of these kind of issues where the player gets suspended. And then you get the Players Association involved, and Fred has to come and protect Kawhi as the union leader, because that's, in some ways, you're going to open a whole can of worms with the Players Association if you suspend Kawhi for this. So it's not likely that Kawhi will get suspended, is what I'm saying. The most likely punishment is that the Clippers get nailed with losing draft picks for like 5 years, like a pick every year for 5 years. And Steve Ballmer has to pay an exorbitant amount of a fine. That it has to be something that makes him kind of have a detriment. It's so hard to put a dent in a billionaire like him. You make it a huge fine. Like maybe you fine him $500 million or some shit, or fine him like $500 million or something crazy, and because the Clippers need to be kind of fucked with where they're hurt for like at least 10 years or something like that to really make the punishment stick. Kawhi has to pay back any ill-gotten gains from aspiration deal as far as money. Like if they have it on paper that this is how much they gave you illegally, he has to pay that money back, and then maybe some more in a fine. Those are the punishments I think should happen. It's directly punishing Steve Ballmer by fining him and the Clippers and taking picks, and then maybe taking the money that Kawhi got illegally and then maybe fining him on top of that. No suspension, no voided contract, none of that kind of stuff. I think that's going to be the final outcome. It may be that the Clippers don't get any problems at all, though. And Adam Silver just says, no, there's no punishment there. There was no wrongdoing. Wachtel completed their investigation, and Pablo Torre's wrong, and nothing's wrong. And Kawhi can go ahead and go to the Raptors on the deal that was agreed to before. That could also be an outcome here too, right? That could be it too. So he's saying Players Union only gets involved if contract gets void, in my opinion. Exactly. No, they probably get involved if he's suspended too, because that's also getting paid taken away from him. Like say they suspended him for the whole next year. Yeah, they're getting involved. They're getting involved because Kawhi's no spring chicken. He's 35, and they're looking at it from the aspect of he's on the clock with his career, and he doesn't have that many more good seasons to play. And that's not right to take away one of his good earning years for a whole year for suspension. So, no, they'll get involved for that. And they may even get involved for a small suspension, like 20 games or something like that. Either way, the Raptors are on record for saying if there is a suspension, we don't care, and we'll still do the deal. So, Smooth saying Players Union. Wait, I already read that. Medved saying it has to be a big fine because he was fined $250,000 for circumventing the cap before with DeAndre Jordan and did it again. Yeah. Well, that's definitely true. With somebody like Steve Ballmer, you can't hurt him in the pocketbook without hitting him hard. You got to hit him very hard. Reggie's saying a suspension? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a suspension. Joe Smith did not get suspended. And that is the best kind of precedent case to look at. All right, let me go over the CBL last night. There was some fantastic games last night in the CBL, including the one I watched, Scarborough Shooting Stars against the Edmonton Stingers at Pan Am Center. They won by 10 points, 107-97. And the game winner was made by Anthony Walker, who's been a fantastic player. I met him at the Booster Juice after one of the Scarborough Shooting Stars games. He's just such a nice guy, and he really enjoys playing for the CBL and the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Well, this team is like an all-star team at this point. Yesterday, the return of Tarquavian Smith to the Shooting Stars was amazing. He'd been hurt. That's why he wasn't with them at the beginning of the season. He was playing in China last year, and he got hurt. So he couldn't start the season with the CBL right on time, but he came back last night, and boy, was he good. It's not even fair to have Smith and Miles Powell on the same team, along with Frank Mitchell, Amir Sims, Javon Johnson, all these guys. They're just so good, and they have such a swagger, and they were hitting on all cylinders. In fact, in the second quarter, they just destroyed the Stingers. They built a huge lead, and they were just running them off the court, hitting everything. But yeah, really cool to see Terquavion back, and he was the player of the game. He had 29 points in his return to Scarborough. Miles Powell had 19 in his part, and Anthony Walker 10 off the bench, including the game winner. So yeah, big time win for Scarborough Shooting Stars. They've officially made the playoffs, and they are actually statistically going to be the number one seed in the East no matter what, because their record is so much better than everybody else's. It's not even fair. I tell you, the Shooting Stars are not even fair. Yeah, on the other side, there was 25 points by Scotty Lindsey leading the Edmonton Stingers. But yeah, Scarborough's in the playoffs already, and they have locked in the number one seed as of last night. The Niagara River Lions winning streak continues as they beat Brampton last night for the second time in 2 games. Khalil Ahmad, 20 points. Kyle Vanellas, 25 points also. Yeah, big time win for them as they try and pull it out of the mud, being at the bottom of the conference. And now they are not, because they've overtaken Brampton in the standings, it looks like. So this is a big deal. I think, no, not Brampton. They've overtaken Montreal and Ottawa and Brampton. They've overtaken all 3 of them. So now Niagara's number 2 in the Eastern Conference in the CBL. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is a big comeback. Tonight, CBL action, Winnipeg at Calgary out at WinSport Event Center. It's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern if you want to watch it on YouTube. And also Montreal Alliance are all the way out west at Langley Event Center playing the Vancouver Bandits and Jarkel Joyner at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. All games are on CBC Gem, CBL Plus, and also YouTube for free, live streamed. But yeah, CBL has been amazing. So good. And at the game last night, Trey Bell Haynes was there being interviewed by S. So cool to hear Team Canada alumni Trey Bell Haynes at the game and talking about the CBL and what its growth and all that kind of stuff. There was a news drop yesterday. This very interesting. They're going to have the Canada Toronto Scarborough Pro-Am game on August the 6th in the afternoon at Pan Am Center. And Dylan Brooks is advertised as playing in this Pro-Am game. So there's going to be a Scarborough Pro-Am at Pan Am Center on August the 6th, where NBA pros and semi-pros will be playing in a pro amateur game. So check. I'm going to try and go to that game, honestly, because I'd like to go to a Pro-Am this summer. And it's at Pan Am, and I like to go to stuff at Pan Am. And Dylan Brooks is advertised to be involved. So that's a good thing right there. That's a pretty cool thing right there. Yeah. Let's see. Kaloy saying, imagine if all this was planned by Bobby from the beginning, how they know this will happen and then pull back in the last minute so the picks can be renegotiated. The CIA, man, is scary. I mean, I think that it's just Bobby is a very logical person who knows how to run things smart, and he's just looking at it at each step and making the right decisions. I think that's what this is. I think that's what it is. It's looking that way, Smooth. The Players Association rep is downplaying the issue already. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else do I have in my tabs real quick? Let's go ahead and do the Toronto Raptors Redditor of the day. It is Kaz on Reddit once again, and he is making a stand saying that he thinks that Nate Biddle will make the final roster for the Raptors. And I'm with him on this. I think he's right. I think that Nate Biddle is going to make the Raptors final roster. And I'm so happy about that because I think he deserves it from what he's done in Summer League. And I think he's going to be a huge addition to our team in a couple of different great ways. So, yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Kaz on Reddit, you are the Raptors Redditor of the day. Let's see. What else we got in the tabs here? I'm going to go ahead and do the straight goods on Canadian goods. This is a product that I bring up every once in a while, and it's Made Good bars. And today I've got the Made Good Mornings bars. The organic soft baked oat bars, and these are cinnamon bun flavored. And man, these are so good. I like to eat these in the morning. And once again, most Canadian products that I put on the show are organic. They're not made with any weird preservatives and lab food. This is organic food that's good for you and is made from natural ingredients and not from chemicals and weird stuff that they put in American food. So, Made Good. If you want a breakfast bar, get this instead of Nature's Valley or anything other else that you might get. I eat these every day, and they're fantastic. So yeah, Made Good, a great Canadian company, an organic breakfast bar company. And this is a box of the soft oat cinnamon bun ones. These are really tasty. These ones right here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's your straight goods on Canadian goods, just to get some more brand familiarity with Canadian products that you could buy instead of the American ones. You're not going to see commercials on TV for Made Good, but you'll see it on the Raptor Freak channel. That's right. That's right. No breaking news I'm seeing here. Let's do a couple birthdays real quick. We'll say happy birthday to one of the men who was traded for Vince Carter in the Rob Babcock worst trade in the NBA's history, Eric Williams. Eric Williams was a Celtic, but then he was a Raptor, and he was on our team for 2 years. He played 62 games in a Raptors uniform. He started 29 of them, and he averaged 4 points per game. So happy birthday to Eric Williams, the Prince of Newark. Also, a big happy birthday to a champion 2 times, and that is OG Anunoby. That's right. It's OG's birthday today. And well, I want to remind people right now, OG played 395 games for the Raptors. He's only played 164 games for the Knicks so far. In fact, he started 321 games for the Raptors and averaged 12 points for us over his 7 years on our team. He's been in the league 10 years. He's only been on the Knicks for 3. So happy birthday to Raptors champion OG Anunoby. He is a Raptors champion. Yeah, he's still a Raptors champion. And I guess he won an ESPY for one of the best plays of the year, too. Also, we'll do a happy birthday to Tempo player who did not come over and play for us this year, and that's Maria Klendikova. It's her birthday, the Russian player. They were showing her, they did a birthday message to her. The Tempo did. So to me, that makes me think that she still writes with the Tempo if she comes back next year and plays in the league, that she would be on our team next year still. So happy birthday to Masha, Maria Klendikova, who has turned 28 today. So yeah, there's a couple birthdays right there. Also a happy birthday to former trivia commissioner David Saborn. But yeah, it's OG's birthday today, guys. So happy birthday, OG. OG, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Cloy saying, Lex, how would this team do last year if we swapped BI for DeRozan? See, you guys are putting me in situations where I don't want to diss the great DeMar. We know what DeMar was for us when we were building up our team in the 2010s. In some ways, this league has changed since that time. In some ways, that's part of the reason why DeMar hasn't had that much success in the time since. In some ways, this league has changed. This league is way more non-isolation, and especially our team. And if you think about DeMar DeRozan's game with the Raptors and Darko as the coach, he's not fitting in because in some ways he's not a team player. And it's because he's so good as an individual player. So I don't see this. I mean, he could be fine in that role as Ingram last year. But in some ways, Ingram is Ingram and DeMar is DeMar. And I don't know, like, if there's enough. See, you're putting me in bad positions where I don't want to be negative about DeMar DeRozan. Okay. In some ways, he is who he is. And in some ways, I don't want him on our team because he's not a team player to go with what we do right now. He's a great player. He's an amazing player, but we know his character, his build type, that he has to have the ball and he's going to try and beat 3 defenders by himself and go at them and make an amazing shot. And he's very powerful at this. He's gotten better and better as his career goes on. But is this really the kind of player we want on our team right now? It's not. And that's some of the tough reality of this is that it's not even that, like, it's about, like, y'all want nostalgia and good feelings. It doesn't fit it in a basketball sense. If you think about basketball theory and basketball parts and a team, DeMar DeRozan does not fit on this edition of the Raptors. He just doesn't. He just doesn't. And it breaks my heart to say that, but it's just true. It's just true. And I stand for number 10. But y'all keep asking me these questions, And I don't want to diss DeMar, okay? So please stop asking me these kind of questions. We understand who DeMar is, and he doesn't fit on our team. That's the end of it right there, is what I would say right there. Everybody wants him on the team. It's just for warm, fuzzy feelings. It's not really for good basketball reasons. It's not really for good basketball reasons. Infamous saying those bars are really good. You love them? Yeah, these ones in particular. I like this particular box right here because I buy all kinds of different ones, but these ones are soft and they got the cinnamon roll icing on them that make them really kind of tasty, and they taste like cinnamon roll bars. So these are really good ones. This orange box right here in particular. Yeah, happy birthday to OG. OG, that's right. Yeah, he still stands for the Raptors, and he's still got all those connections with his old teammates too. All right, let me just start wrapping it up. We're at 2:15 right now. So yeah, the tempo we're going to play tonight, and we should go over them a little bit more real quick. Brittany is out, Kiki is out, Temi is probable, and Tiani Key is questionable. She's out because of illness, probably. And on the other side, Brianna Jones is possibly going to come back tonight. She's questionable. And then Pow Pow is questionable tonight also. The Tempo have a 35% chance to win, according to the ESPN matchup predictor. Our referees are Tiara Cruz. We're 1-2 with her as the crew chief. Tony Patillo is the referee, 1-2. And Sarah Williams is the umpire, 1-0. So 3-4 overall record with the refs cumulatively. Now, I would say the keys to victory is the rebounding is such a huge stat. We've got to limit second chance for the Dream by keeping their bigs off the boards, specifically Angel Reese. And then another thing we've got to do is cultivate more offensive energy from other players than Mabry. Mabry cannot be the standalone person that's capable of scoring on this team, and that's it. We need other people to step up and do their part, whether it's Isabel Harrison, whether it's Laura Yescada, whether it's Maria Conde, whether it's Niara Sabali. We need any of the other women to step up and try and score at least 20 points alongside Marina, because when Marina is the one trick, one note of our team, we can be deafened and silenced. That's right. Where we can't play any good music. Because they'll tie up Marina Mabry. They'll foul the hell out of her. They'll over-concentrate on her. So we need some other people to pull gravity off of Marina. And Brittany was great for doing that when she's healthy. Kiki a little bit too. We need somebody else to do this now. So we need a hero. We need somebody to step up as a secondary scorer and maybe even a third scorer and a fourth scorer. And these are people that are going to get double digits, and they're getting scoring outputs that are proper to a starter. The starters need to get double digits. Julie, you can't just be an assist person. You've got to try and score too. Niara, get aggressive. Isabel, we should be giving you the ball, feeding you over and over again. Conde, rein it in and not be so chaotic and really concentrate on playing an efficient game. And Laura, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing fine. Just keep doing it. So yeah, we got to find contributions from other people than just Mabry, because when it's just Mabry, the other team has a really easy defensive assignment. Let's just put it that way. All right, that's about it for me on that. With that, and yeah, let's see. Brianna Jones is a problem in the paint. Yeah, I'm gonna see if she's back or not. She may not be back tonight. She's been not playing this whole season until possibly tonight. Could be back tonight, but maybe not. We'll see. Questionable. You like the May Good cinnamon too? Yeah, these are good. These are fire. Especially you can take them and put them in the microwave for 30 seconds and make them a little hot. Ooh-wee, there you go. Fiercely saying if she plays, hopefully she'll be rusty. Also defend Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, and Jordan Canada as they are great scorers. Agree with Lex. Tempo need to help Marina in scoring. Yeah. And I want to see Sandy make good decisions with the subs and make sure you're not running a smaller group against a really big Dream group, because sometimes I've seen us be undersized at times in the game. We get destroyed on the boards at that point. So I think it's important that you maintain a certain level of size on the court, whether it's bringing in Temi or Kayla, and not trying to run these small lineups all of a sudden. And a player that really, really could blossom and do so much to help the team is Pui. I'm just calling out to you, Timma. This is your time. It's your time. It's Timma time. And you got to take it while you can right now. Because you know what? Kiki Rice comes back. You're not going to get any minutes ever again. Seriously, Kiki Rice and Brittany Sykes come back. You're not going to get to play. So you need to take your opportunities now while you can, Timma from France, because you may not get opportunities in about a month from now or even less when these other two come back. So you need to go out there and carve yourself a role and prove to Sandy that you're an essential player that needs to be playing in her rotation night in, night out, even when everybody's all healthy. You're not doing that right now. You have not distinguished yourself. And I know you have the scoring chops and the ability to do this from your time in France. So do it here and stop wasting your time and get really, really like locked in and maybe get your confidence up. Be more like Alan Graves than Grady Dick. That's what I would say right there. Let's go. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak stream. Y'all, once again, put the Kawhi stuff on the shelf for right now. Forget about it until new information and it all gets decided. Then we'll talk about it again. Because we can speculate. We can go around in circles talking about it for hours and hours, and it's useless right now. So as new information comes out, we'll look at it. We'll talk about it. But don't worry about the Kawhi stuff. The Kawhi stuff's going to all work out the right way in the end. Trust in Bobby. That's right. And go on, Scarborough Shooting Stars. Already being locked in the number one seed in the playoffs for the CBL playoffs. Amazing stuff. All right. And Raptors, we'll get our game sometime this weekend. They'll announce it soon, I'm sure, when we're going to play. I mean, I could kind of check right now. Let me just go look and see if they've actually figured it out when we're going to play. They may have to decide games tonight as far as how they're going to do the thing. Yeah, how they're going to do this. Let me see. Schedule. That's what I want to look at. Let me see if there's anything on Saturday yet. And they'll show it. They'll show it when we're playing. Okay, we're playing Denver on Sunday, guys. We got the Nuggets on Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. is our fifth game in Summer League. It'll be Denver Nuggets versus Toronto Raptors, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. So, yeah, that'll be our game. That's our fifth game. Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Denver Nuggets. All right? Just so you guys know. Real quick, announcing that. Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah, classic card. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I see that little takeout box, too. Man, I was going to forget it. You guys did good there. All right, here we go. This one's a little tough, so hopefully we got good classic card players in here. This is the card. He's in a Heat jersey, but he's a Lakers card. And do you know who this player is? So I'll give you some clues. If you give me some guesses, I'll give you some clues. That's right. Classic card. Thank you, Fiercey. I would have forgotten. I was totally wrapping up for this day. Yeah, who is this? Who is this classic card player? It's not Thule Classic. There you go. Kaloy knew. It is Kendrick Nunn. Wow, Kaloy, I'm impressed. That's a good job, man. I'm going to say this is a 150-point card because I don't really – I think that this is a guy that most people forget about, right? Kendrick Nunn. Y'all check on your WNBA Fantasy League teams and make sure you set up your lineup. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so Kaloy gets it today, and we'll go 150 on the classic card for today. Wow, good job, Kaloy. He's more recent. That's how you knew. That's how you knew. All right, y'all, I'm out. Let's go tempo. Beat the dream tonight somehow, some way. I don't think that there's a good chance you'll win, but if you do win, I'll be so proud of you. If you can figure out how to beat them tonight, that'd be awesome. They have beaten us, and we're 0-2 against them so far this season. So it would be nice to try and get a win against the Atlanta Dream, a team we've never beaten yet. So, yeah, we'll have to see. All right, and Raptors, fantastic job at Summer League, other than not understanding the point differential and playing to your best ability to try and get to the championship round. In some ways, that was really annoying. It's kind of like screaming at somebody from inside to do something and they can't hear you. Get more points, get more points. And they couldn't hear us. It sucks, man. Yeah, he got punched in Europe by his teammate recently too, Kendrick Nunn. That's hilarious. And Isaac's got the aspiration dreams out there. All right, I'm going to go out there and cut grass. I'll touch it first, and then I'm going to cut the grass afterwards. All right, take care, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow to react to the Tempo Dream game tonight, 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Tempo. And let's go CBL Scarborough Shooting Stars. Number 1, baby. Number 1.